That was horrible.
Thanks for coming back onto the show today, folks. Today I've got a wonderful guest host here. You would never believe it. Yes, back from the dead, gone for 30 years, got another new album out for you guys here in the studio. I present to you Ready Fast Man. Ready Fast Man, thanks for coming out. Tell the folks what it's like coming back into the spotlight here.
Yeah, well, it's quite a brilliant experience to be back. You've waited 30 years for my new album launch, and I just have to tell you, I've had so much sex and alcohol and drugs.
Listeners at home, I can feel the sex and alcohol and drugs exuding off of Ready Fast Man right here in front of us. It's palpable. I'm blushing here in the studio today.
I would have appreciated it if you'd have done a little more research before bringing me on your what is this talk show? What is this?
Oh, we call it a podcast.
Why? Because I'm like in a bean.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we're beans in a pod, and then we cast it out. It's like fishing. So we like cast it out into the world, to the ocean of the world is really kind of how we consider it.
Is anyone listening? Is anyone going to call in? Is anyone going to?
No one listens at all, actually. It's just you and me talking in this room. I thought, you met me outside, and I thought
my
it'd be
producer
great.
said this would be very lucrative to my career.
You're the first guest I've had on. So, like, if you have any advice, any tips or anything, have you done this kind of thing before? Gosh, I'm so nervous. There's so much sex exuding off you. I don't even know what that means.
I was in the Billboard top 6, and so I knew so much about the industry before 30 years have passed, and I spent that time building a cult.
Hold on, sorry, Big, you dropped the C word. Everyone, the C word siren, go off.
No, listen, we're not a cult. We're not a cult, I swear. We just put pubic hair everywhere, and we drink nothing but milk.
Like pasteurized, or?
Well, no, we get our milk from a source.
From a source.
Yeah, we can't talk about it where we get.
Listeners at home, call in if you want to know what the source of the milk is. I thought you said
no one was going to call in. I thought we were just two guys in a room.
Well, I'm just being prepared for
my producers are waving at me and saying that we're in the wrong studio. This is supposed to be on NBC Nightly with Jim Halpert.
Of The Office fame, he became a real character in the real world.
The Office, where people go to work every day.
Yeah, it's basically like they just put cameras inside of a workspace. And it's like that really all that happens.
Severance?
So yeah, you seem pretty plugged into the.
I only know Severance.
Are any kind of messages you want to get across with this new album? After it's been so long since what brought you back into the world?
I just wanted the world to understand that there is nothing more whole than the whole. And to live in the whole is to embrace the whole. You understand what I'm doing here is a play on words. So you have whole with WHOLE, and then you have you remove the W, and what you are left with is the whole. So you have the whole of the whole. And in my 30 years of solitude while living on the plantation with my family, I discovered that to have the whole is to have the whole.
Wow. So you take the whole with the WHOLE, you take the W out of it, you take the self out of it, really, truly. It becomes us, becomes one. My son. Wow, yes.
You seem lost.
I feel directionless in this life. I bought these microphones and had nothing to do with them, and I need some guidance.
I feel
Ready Fast Man, please
in order for you to become whole, you must in turn find the whole.
To become whole, you must find the whole. Yes. I need to find my whole.
In doing
the whole.
You find the whole.
Yes, I get it now.
Do you understand?
I understand everything.
This is the Ready Fast Man philosophy, and I will use it in my upcoming album, Jesus Take the Whole, in which I show over the course of 18 songs across 3 vinyls, which in turn is about 15 or 20 minutes of music.
Per vinyl or
No, total.
Total, okay.
It's been a long 30 years developing this 15 or 20 minutes.
15 minutes of music. They're curated heavily.
Well, absolutely.
You reinvented yourself.
In album 2, on song 8, which is approximately 15 seconds, I discuss in great detail the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't.
No, we've got a clip of your song here if you don't mind us playing it. So listen, listeners at home.
Which song?
Jesus Take the Whole.
Oh, it's the title
That's
song.
the title
off the,
song,
the
yeah,
title
of course.
album.
And so, listeners at home, here's a little sneak peek of Jesus Take the Whole.
Jesus Take the Whole. Jesus Take the Whole. That's it.
It's better if you are swole.
Pretty good. I don't know why you picked that song. I argue that song is only a taste, because that is actually track 4 or 5 of vinyl 3, and that was actually the whole song. And I don't know if my distributor will like the fact that I put that whole song on here.
It was just so short, I just figured, why not give them the whole thing, Why not give them the whole?
I discovered...
Period.
So about 17 and a half years into my 30-year hiatus, I discovered... I discovered...
What was it, Papa? What did you discover?
No. My son, you don't call me Papa.
But
I'm
your
father.
Father.
Thank you. Papa's what my lovers call me, so it doesn't fit.
Lovers.
It doesn't fit in the whole scheme. So I discovered...
There's no room in this hole.
I discovered when Jesus came down to me and he grabbed me by the hand and he took me by the tail and he took me into the bathroom. And whilst in the bathroom laboratory, he told me that it was the whole soul, but my ears were a little clogged that day. And so what I ended up hearing was the whole, but it turns out he was actually talking about my whole soul. I thought I was in for a gay romp, and in turn...
You were okay with that?
Well, I mean,
I would have been fine with this.
This is what you expect when you're becoming the next family leader. Of
course.
Big love. You expect hours
family
of
first
pleasure.
With Ready Fast Man.
Well, you're ready, and then you're fast, and then you're a man.
Then you're a man.
Everyone.
That's when you came up with the new name, because this is not your birth name. Obviously, first you were ready, and then you were fast, and then you became a man. The 3 stages of life, as are dictated in your 3 solid vinyls in this album.
Yes, and the 3 albums do give the 3 principles of the Ready Fast Man philosophy, which is the whole soul. And the reason I'm adding soul on there in this 30-year later thing is because I realized that it was a soul he was after. He was not actually after my whole...
After all these years, you discovered...
Which is a little awkward, because I have so many paintings made of just being completely destroyed by this man who called himself Jesus, but I'm now realizing he worked at a McDonald's. And I don't understand why I let him into my void and why we succumbed to one another in such a manner that we did. But it did build the next 30 years of my life. And
really
now
turned you into the Ready Fast Man you are.
And now the 40 to 45 people who live on my in my house are constantly there praising his whole when really it was his soul.
Praise the
all
void.
Along. So anyway, that's what I'm coming out here to talk on this news radio broadcast.
Yeah, of course. But again, nobody's listening to this kind of thing. So I mean, like, is there anything else you want to talk about? Do you like movies? You watch? I'm big on horror movies myself.
Oh, absolutely. There was that one with Io Edebury, and I did my research. I looked up how to pronounce that beforehand. And
because we wanted to respect the name.
I was listening in the future. I was listening to this podcast called That Was Horrible.
Oh, I know that. It has a host similar to me. His name is Isaac.
Yes,
and someone who almost sounds like you. What their name?
Oh, he doesn't sound anything like me.
No, you're right. But
he sounds like this.
Who's the other
guy? He doesn't sound anything like me.
Does the other one have a name?
Yeah, I believe his name was Derek.
Of course.
All right, now that we've fucked up the intro by 8 minutes, I'm going to keep talking as this guy because I'm really enjoying this bit.
It's pretty good. It's pretty great.
I don't know. Is my time here done? Your producer, which appears to be a large horse, is tapping his wrist.
Well, yeah. Did you see that? I got him that watch for his birthday. I think he really likes it.
Oh, he does. Absolutely. Well, I must go. But before I leave, let me leave you with a word of wisdom.
Yes, please do not void the premises, if you will, without giving us a little whole soul for your soul. I imagine that like stitched onto a pillow, like live, laugh, love, whole soul.
And it's crazy. We have it embroidered everywhere but it didn't say soul yet. We're having to do an entire marketing rebrand.
Which is mostly just people walking around with Sharpies and like adding it onto the ends of the other one.
It was when I was walking through the woods on an acid-filled trip that I discovered we had done so much peyote.
Were you on acid, or was there acid around you, just stepping over vats of acid? It's an acid-filled trip.
Well, I did trip a few times.
Okay.
And that's actually what happened to my arm.
Whoa!
Yes.
What's that?
Well, it's just a bloody arm. I I don't believe in I don't believe in modern medicine. I only believe in the whole hole. And anyway, it was when I was tripping in the woods, and I remembered being in that bathroom with that McDonald's employee who turns out his name was Jesus.
Yeah,
not Jesus at all. Which is God, I'm such an idiot. But hindsight is 2020. Hindsight is 2020.
Oh God, my behind sight is 2020.
And it's when I tripped and I landed in this vat of nuclear acid that the government dumps in this forest. They call it dump forest for a reason.
Wow, it's aptly named. I never would have guessed.
Which is actually why I was able to buy this house for so cheap.
Of course,
because it was on the edge of nuclear dumping
and
site.
And the government kind of owed you a lot of money for covering you in nuclear waste. You look great for a man, may I say, for a man quite like yourself, covered in nuclear waste, looking a lot better than that like Toxic Avenger guy looks.
Ooh, dinklage. Anyway, what I discovered then was that he had offered me his soul instead of his whole, or he had asked for my soul instead of my whole. It was an interchangeable whole experience.
The interchangeable whole experience.
That's a word I just said. And I think that's probably the title of your episode right there. It's the interchangeable whole experience. But
that's what you invited special guests over to your house, your lovely farm for the interchangeable whole experience of a lifetime.
It's really quite shitty, mind my God in French, is that we went through the process of creating all of this marketing, and we had all these bowls made for the whole bowl.
Oh, that's good.
And they were full, and the voles were there.
Yep.
We had so many great ideas just to have me goddamn wake up one day and realize he was talking about his soul.
Yeah, it's terrible. And think about all the people working underneath the farm, the house, in the mines down there, fueling the furnace. It's
not a compound.
But then it's the whole coal that they're filling it with.
It really takes a toll. And so stupid. I just need everyone out there to understand that, yes, we are going through marketing rebrand. The reason I'm out in the public again doing these interviews is to, really take a step forward with the whole soul philosophy.
I mean, that's the whole goal, right?
Yes. Hold on, I need to make a phone call.
Oh, no. Gonna change the branding all over again.
Yes, Dina?
Yeah, I'll just be over here.
Yeah, Dina. No, I just have 3 words for you.
Hi, horse.
Whole goal.
We should get this guy out of here.
Yeah, whole goal.
Out of the studio.
Okay. All right, I'm back. Thank you. I just had to let Dina know. Dina's my publicist. She's all about the goal hole. And I just... Anyway, to wrap things up here, because it's been an excruciating 12 minutes, I just need everyone out there to look deep inside your hole. And in there, will you find your whole soul? Sorry if that was full.
Thank you, everybody. Ready, fast man.
Hey,
Derek, get him out of here. High horse, get this guy out of here. Get him out of here.
Get out of here. Wait. Do you have a soul, young man? Yes, I do. I have a soul right here. Come and find it.
High horse, look out. Look out, he's got a weapon. I don't even know what that is. Help.
That's a dildo.
Oh, yep. Look, there they go. Look, fighting off into the distance.
Oh my God.
So, Derek, how you been? What's happening?
Well, I know I'm late, but you didn't have to try and replace me with a British.
Mostly I was doing a setup and I was testing the microphones, while you were on your way, and then this guy shows up and he looked a lot like you, and he told me he was this wonderful star, and so I thought maybe he kind of looked like John Malkovich, if I'm being entirely honest.
He didn't talk like John Malkovich at all. Which is good.
It reminded me of that movie of being John Malkovich, and I feel like that's kind of what happened here.
I really do love that movie, Being John Malkovich. If you haven't ever seen it before,
no jokes.
What is it? It's like a David Lynch movie not made by David Lynch.
It is the strangest movie.
It was what's his face?
John Malkovich. I think the man you're looking for is probably John Malkovich.
No.
It's a strange
No, it's
movie.
by what's his face? Spike Jonze. Yeah,
Spike Jonze.
Spike Jonze and Charlie Kaufman, which Charlie Kaufman is one of my all-time favorite writers. Mm-hmm. He also did Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Thinking of Anything, Synecdoche, New York, Adaptation, Being John Malkovich, I already said. You know, all those ones.
All the hits. They're playing all the hits.
He really is a fantastic writer, though, and he always makes those movies that are just super fucking weird. But we're not here to talk about the phenomenal work of Charlie Kaufman.
No, instead, let's take a little chunk of that. We got John Malkovich up in the mix, as well as Io Edebiri.
We literally watched a video on how to pronounce Io Edebiri.
Yeah, Derek pulls up this video. This man was like, "Hello, I am here to teach you how to pronounce commonly mispronounced names."
And then he put the word croissant on the screen, and
he
I thought he
didn't
was
say
going to pronounce croissant.
No.
And now I don't even know if I'm saying it right. Is it croissant?
Croissant.
But I'm not
But
French.
yeah, so we looked up a video just to make sure we could pronounce her name because she's a wonderful lady, wonderful actress, and we wanted to do respect to it.
Isaac, wait.
Yeah,
I just got an email from the whole collective.
The whole Derek.
Run by Ready Fast Man?
Derek, listen to me. It was a fake bit. What do you mean you got an email from them? What do you mean we summoned them for the podcast?
Why is it's just a picture of the Grand Canyon? I guess that is a hole.
Is that the hole?
I think that's
the hole of all holes.
Oh my God, there's 45 people. It's a live stream. There's 45-ish people I can count.
Yeah.
Standing on the edge of the Grand. Oh my
699.
God, they just put on parachutes and jumped in.
Whoa. Oh, well, they say parachute.
High Horse is there.
What?
What is he doing?
Does it look like he's having a good time?
How did he get to the Grand Canyon in 30 seconds?
He's a fast horse. He probably flew there because he's a high horse. He can just get up in the air.
Oh my God. The camera panned up and it's showing what was labeled on their parachutes. It's Kool-Aid.
On the
Kool-Aid man. Oh my God, all the parachutes just popped.
Oh my God.
And now they're all dead.
There's not parachutes in them at all. It's just a bunch of Kool-Aid.
Oh my God, they're trying to fill the Grand Canyon with Kool-Aid.
But what's happening? It seems like some cataclysmic storm has taken place over the Grand Canyon.
Oh my God.
It's raining, torrential rainfall. It is filling the Grand Canyon with water.
There's a guy named Jesus riding from the ashes wearing a McDonald's hat.
And now the Grand Canyon is full of Kool-Aid.
That's the coolest thing I've ever seen.
And now everyone can drink the Kool-Aid.
And we finished the bit. That is what we call.
Thank you. That's the bit. And that's
the
comedy.
bit.
And that's comedy. Derek, why are we talking about Io Edebiri? Why are we talking about John Malkovich and cultists drinking the Kool-Aid? What does all of this has to do with each other?
Why are we taking so long to get started?
Why is it taking us so long to talk about this? What is today's movie?
So we went and saw Opus, which is a movie by A24, which stands for Alexander is 24 years old on March 14th. It's not what it stands for. I don't know what A24 stands for. I don't know if I've ever looked. This is our first A24 movie on this podcast.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, because typically they, at least as far as I've been aware, they live in the higher end of what people think about movies. They don't typically make it down to our little trash bin where we find all of our movies from.
Yeah, I personally am a big fan of this art house style.
Yeah.
And for those of you who don't know, which is probably at least two people.
Yeah.
Art house is the movies that you would watch and you consider weird. The reason and I personally, I'm a big fan of these movies. There was a time where I was trying to watch every single A24 movie. And there's hundreds.
There's a lot at this point.
And when I started, there were only 90, and then I think I got to 80, and there was 160. So I'm well,
it doubled at that point. You're like, maybe I don't need to. Well, especially since on your journey there, you were having to watch a lot of not so great movies.
Everyone thinks that all A24 movies are bangers,
because that's another thing. It's it's become a popular name as far as making a little more art house, a little more indie style movies, and really the most you can come to expect out of that is a movie that doesn't feel like it's being ruined by corporations that are no, you have to make the movie like this. So there's a lot of creative, a lot of weird things. That does not always mean it's good.
Well, A24, for those of you who don't know, it's an independent film company whose entire purpose is to give small developers chances.
Exactly.
That is really what they are. They watch these movies that may not get mainstream attention, and they give them money to produce those movies.
Which I do appreciate. It's better than seeing companies that are here's Toy Story 8. I'm tired of those things. Give me weird new movies, and that's a lot of what they distribute.
Yeah,
right?
You've got a lot of A24 and Neon are the two big companies that are doing this right now, and it's paying off. It is paying off. I mean, A24 had that huge win with Everything Everywhere All at Once,
of course,
a couple years ago, and then Opus. No,
Derek, it didn't seem like they were posting much about this one, huh? It seems like this one they kind of swept under the rug a little bit.
Yeah, man. Opus. So I obviously, after that whole discussion, you can tell I'm a big fan of A24. Right. I'm also a big fan of Io Edebiri, and I'm a big fan of John Malkovich. So I was Isaac, this movie's getting bad reviews, but I was actually kind of hyped for it. Can we go see it?
I was quite curious because I remember I saw one or two things about it on the internet, and I was I don't know enough. Nothing about this is incredibly drawing me, but it's got a pretty simple premise that involves a writer and a cultist, and stuff happens there within.
Well, and it felt very The Menu coded, which both of us really enjoyed The Menu, and so I was obviously just all ecstatic about it.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, Midsummer as well. I was excited.
Very much Midsummer vibes.
I was excited for, something like this. But at the same time, I had a little reservations because I feel like this style of movie just keeps happening.
Yes.
And the style of movie we're talking about is the style of movie where it's like eat the rich. Right? That's the kind of the style of movie it is.
Right.
You bring in some sort of figure, brings a group of people somewhere, tries to teach them a lesson, and in which they kill those people.
Yeah.
Blink Twice came out last year. That was a very similar movie. You have, Midsummer, The Menu, Triangle of Sadness to some certain extent was
There's
also
even,
in that
Get
vein.
Out is a similar kind
Get
of
Out.
thing.
Oh, Get Out for sure is like that.
But yeah, that was something that I was curious about. I'm like, how are we going to do something like this and make it new? What are we going to introduce to this that is different?
Well, and this movie had literally everything working for it.
Yeah.
And by saying that, I mean, this is a movie about reporters getting called out to a musician's house where he's releasing his first album in 30 years.
Yep.
There you go. Now you understand the
now
bit.
you're in on the bit
Now
from
you
the
get
beginning.
it. Sorry, we didn't let you in on that before we did the bit. And the movie had everything lined up to work, right? Mark Anthony Green, he's a semi-famous reporter. He has been a reporter for years, and he's been like in the fashion and the music industry. So we got
researcher turned director.
Yeah,
reporter
director.
turned writer director.
So this is his first film, in which case he did write and direct it. But not only that, he also had 4 pretty famous people with him to write the music.
Yes,
you have Danny Benzie,
too.
Saundra Jurins. I'm not sure who they are. I'm sure they're fairly big, but
Yeah.
the ones that are important are Nile Rodgers
yeah.
and The Dream.
No, I'll be honest. I mostly know Nile Rodgers as like an incredible guitarist, like a pretty talented dude. I mostly know him because he performed with Daft Punk that one time at the Grammys, and that was pretty sick.
Well, that's kind of like his thing. Nile Rodgers
he did get lucky with them.
He got lucky with them?
He got lucky with Daft Punk.
Was it the whole hole or was it just like the partial hole?
It's just the partial hole.
Okay, can I just talk to you how
up.
proud I am of that stupid
That was
bit?
incredible.
It was arguably a little scary how easy it was for me to come up with a cult synopsis.
A little bit it was.
I've thought for years about how easy it would be for me to open a cult.
I think, you would absolutely. I think you've got the charisma for it. I think you could definitely pull it off.
Well, and I mean, I'm never going to. I mean, knock on wood. I hope I never start a cult.
I sure hope not.
I don't want to start a cult. But like, I feel like
Dude, look me in the eyes and tell me you're not thinking about starting a cult.
He's
not looking at me, guys.
Start a cult.
He's looking
I'm not
away.
Start a cult. I'm not going to open a compound. I mean, a family house. It's such a fun thing about that character was every time he mentioned anything cult. Not that. Anyway, so now Rodgers. It's kind of his thing. Is he works with other people?
Yes.
Like he worked on David Bowie's. Let's
album.
Dance.
Yeah.
That song, that album.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And he worked with Duran Duran. He worked with Madonna on Like a Virgin. He worked with,
so like big time producer, right?
so many people. Mick Jagger, Coldplay, Grace Jones, the Vaughan Brothers, Brian Ferry, Christina Aguilera, Lady Gaga, Beyonce. Apparently he worked with Daft Punk. I didn't know about that one.
Yeah.
Just kidding. No, he won 3 Grammy Awards for that because he worked on Random Access Memories.
Yes, great album.
So,
God, I
mean,
love you, Daft
it's
Punk.
one of the best albums ever written, easily.
Love
It doesn't. Random Access Memories is one of those albums that even if you're not into that style of music,
yes,
you can listen to it and appreciate it. It is it is a fantastic album.
Love you, Random Access Memories. Rest in peace, Daft Punk. They're not dead. They're just not making music.
I mean, that means they're dead to me.
I remember I made a post about that actually because I love Daft Punk. I listened to them a lot in my youth, and I remember when they had broken up, I like made a post about like rest in peace Kings, and people were like, "You probably shouldn't post this because people are going to think that they're dead." I'm like, in spirit, they are to me.
To me, they're dad.
It means that much. To me, they're dad. I was raised by Daft Punk.
To me, they're dad.
Your dad to me.
Your dad to me.
That's
crying.
That's like the plot of a movie where someone dies and somebody else becomes your father in place of them. It's like your dad to me. Get it? Because somebody died, and then they're like maybe they're like a ghost dad.
Well, it's kind of nice.
I'm still stewing on it.
Hallmark could probably get on this because they could make a card that's like "You're dead to me" that you give to someone when they're dead.
Yeah.
And then
you give to them at their funeral.
You put it in the casket. You slip it in.
It's like a Valentine's box at school. There's like a slot in the top of the coffin.
But then your new picture this. You're 12 years old. Your dad just died in a car accident.
Yeah.
And you're oh my god. And you're
terrible.
Sitting there, and everybody's got their little notepads that they're writing their Hallmark gift cards on.
Of course.
You bought 2 of the same one that said "You're dead. You're dead to me." and you scratch out dead and write dad on the other one and hand it to your stepdad.
Just cross the. Hey, you've earned this, buddy.
Come on in, pal.
Imagine there's like a business for that now. Like there's like a cart vendor who shows up to the front of funeral parlors, to the funeral home. He's like, "Hey, I know you're last minute buyers. I know you want to get in on these cards. Bet you forgot. Oh, I got a whole bundle here. I got a ton of your dad to me cards.
Your dad to me." But all of them are the word dead crossed out and dad. Written above it.
He did not make his own cards. He just bought a bunch of cards, crossed out dead, wrote dad, and now he's reselling them.
The craziest thing about this bit that we just did, when I started saying the thing about the "you're dead to me" card, in my brain, it made total sense to have a Hallmark card that was "you're dead to me." And then it wasn't until I was saying it that I was like, oh, wait, you wouldn't give a holiday card to someone dead.
Imagine giving that to somebody who like has wronged you. You know, like your enemy now.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You mail them a card that just says "you're dead to me." It's like a very formal way to say we are enemies now.
But that's risky because what if you accidentally send "your dad to me"?
And then they're your father. And legally, they are your dad.
This is a legally binding Hallmark card.
This is a legally binding Hallmark contract in this card. Read the fine print on the back of any Hallmark card. They say it is legally binding.
Dude, we're popping off today. Okay.
If someone gives you a happy anniversary card, you're married. It's your 12-year anniversary at that point. I can't believe you got me nothing for our 12-year anniversary.
And if you send someone a card that says happy pregnant, you're pregnant now. Happy pregnant. I just imagine a white card that just says in like
Comic
Times
Sans
New. Oh, Comic Sans, even better. Just like 12-point font. Happy pregnant. Just like a period at the end.
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna give someone a happy pregnant card because that's incredible.
And then you're just gonna watch them.
But it doesn't matter. Male, female, anything in between. You are pregnant at that point.
Anyway,
so back to Opus. We were talking about Nile Rodgers.
Yes, the point is that Nile Rodgers is a huge, huge celebrity.
Yes.
And I think what theory time. I'm going to get up on my high horse.
Do you have a theory?
Oh my God, I have a theory.
It's been ages since Derek's had a theory.
Do you remember when that was like my catchphrase?
I think it's funny that now the catchphrase more than that is, it's been forever since you've had a theory. Like we do that more than you actually having a theory.
Man, I need to start having theories again.
That's how it started, yeah.
Oh my God, that was like the thing. I remember when we first started the podcast, we had people commenting to us about how they liked our different like characteristics that are characters. And because we don't play ourselves, we play characters.
No,
in
I'm
this
definitely.
podcast.
This is not the real Isaac.
I actually have a different voice.
Yeah, completely.
I talk like this on a daily basis.
Well, not on the podcast. Not on the podcast.
And I usually talk like this. This is my voice.
It's crazy. Your balls drop every time we end the podcast.
I know, and I gotta suck them back up.
I hit stop on the record
now.
button, and I hear this thunk
on my wooden chair that I'm sitting on.
Oh yeah, you're not allowed to sit on stuff.
Ka-donk. Not since I made a mess the last time.
Oopsie. Anyway,
so Nile Rodgers.
Yeah, Nile Rodgers. My theory, though.
Yes, your theory.
My theory about this is he has so much goddamn money.
Oh, yeah.
That Mark Anthony Green sent him an email and was like, "Hey, remember that one time I interviewed you?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, you're that guy."
Yeah, that
and he's
guy
like,
that interviewed
I
me.
wrote this movie about this this musician who's been gone for 30 years and wants to kill a bunch of people. Oh, interesting. Here's $1 million. That's my theory.
You know, this movie reminds me of myself. It reminds me of that one time that I, Nile Rodgers, invited a bunch of people over and wanted to kill them, but I did not. So maybe you tell that story.
But maybe you tell the story.
Maybe it's a little bit of like a catharsis for him to like get that thought out.
Yeah.
Just like, wouldn't it be crazy if I did that? Let's make a movie about that.
But he also got in contact with The Dream.
The Dream. It's a whole,
maybe burp.
it's almost one thing. The Dream.
I am not going to try and pronounce his name. It is 5 words.
Whoa.
And I feel like I will offend not only him, but myself.
And in the sense of
everyone.
not trying to offend.
I'm just not going to try and
Yeah.
say it. I think that's probably why he goes by The Dream. He also goes by Young Del Nash, which is easy to say.
Okay, that's a lot easier.
He is super, super famous. We looked him up on Spotify before recording, and he's got tons of
lots of listens,
big hits. But he's another one, just like Nile Rodgers, where he makes his fame by collaborating. And honestly, I love that.
Yeah.
I really do love that. That's one of the beautiful things about Daft Punk is that they always were collaborating with people. They were always putting their work with other people and having people work with them.
To get onto my Daft Punk high horse.
A bing. Here's your box.
You got a cool robot mask high horse. You're my Daft Punk high horse.
Well, it's because I was I died in the Grand Canyon.
You died
and now I'm resurrected.
Died and reborn as the Daft Punk High Horse.
I am Daft Punk High Horse.
I'm Daft Horse.
I am Daft Punk High Horse.
I sound like anytime Peter Griffin is trying to do a robot.
I am Daft Punk.
Derek, how often does this happen within Family Guy?
Like 5.
Okay, like 5 times. But anyway, to talk about Daft Punk for a second, yes, that's another thing that I loved about Random Access Memories is there were several collaborators that they did songs with on that album that are like people that had inspired them when they were making music from the start. Like for instance, what's his fucking name? Paul
Mescal.
from the Phantom of the Paradise? Why can't
Giamatti.
Paul Giamatti. No, Giorgio Moroder was another one though.
Yep.
He's like godfather of the synth, which is great.
Yeah,
That's another really cool.
When I was developing the synth, I made music.
Why the hell can't I? Like, I'm losing my mind here. Derek, talk for a second.
Paul Giamatti. Well, while Isaac's looking that up, he also worked with a bunch of people, though. The Dream did. He worked with Britney Spears. He worked with Ciara. He worked with Rihanna. He worked with Mariah Carey. He
Paul
worked with
Williams.
Justin
God.
Bieber. He did not work with Paul Williams.
I'm so sorry, Paul Williams. So that's another guy that they worked on. Also, Paul Williams is wonderful. He did
I love
music for like the Muppets. Like, how can you not love the guy?
It's time to play the music.
He also looks like kind of a Muppet himself, so it makes sense. But anyway, yeah, Daft Punk did a lot of cool collaborations.
I have a request.
What's your request?
When I die.
Yes. Take my vessel and turn it into a Muppet.
Well,
What were you going to
anyway,
say?
but only a Muppet that gets activated when you put your hand in me. It'll be like a Severance situation where instead of having like an innie and an outie, like someone that like changes their mind state, whenever there's not a hand in my puppet, I just disappear. I am just asleep. But then I awaken.
Like all puppet consciousness.
Yeah.
It only exists once the hand goes inside.
Because it would be horrible if I was like sitting there and like my soul was just there.
Yeah.
But I couldn't move or do anything. That would be hell. But if I was in such a state that like I would come to life when someone shoved their hand up my butt.
I'm imagining some kind of horror movie scenario where some guy has like some TV puppet show, but all of the characters on the show are like people who have died.
Ooh, pretty good.
And there's this weird morality balance where it's like the people of the dead relatives kind of like it because it's like they're still around because he's really, really good at the puppetry. Like it's almost like they're back to life. And so there's this whole thing where it's like they're dead people. This is so disrespectful. But the loved ones of the family members are like, but it's like he's not gone. And then we dig into it deeper, find out he's like possessed by their ghosts or something like that. I don't know where I'm going with this. I just kind of ran with this idea.
I also kind of like and similar.
I just want to make a puppet horror movie. Please.
What if he is like people are paying him to like, or he is paying people to take their likeness before they die.
Oh,
but then he like gets greedy and he starts killing these people off
before
they die.
They're like mysteriously dying and they can't directly plug it to him because the puppets are killing them. That's what it is. No fingerprints on a puppet.
That's true.
This is great.
Felter prints.
Felter, I hardly know her.
All right. Anyway, so the Dream, so the Dream and Nile Rodgers actually worked together to write the music for this movie. They wrote 3 original songs that John Malkovich actually sings and performs in this movie. We'll go over that later.
Which goes exactly how you would think it might. Well, no, I don't know if it did go how I thought it would. I wasn't sure what I was expecting when I'm like, oh yeah, cool, John Malkovich up on the mic. Let's see what it's like.
I was kind of disappointed, to be completely honest. Not just with the movie, but also with the fact that there were only 3 songs. Like, I don't know. I feel like he could have done better. That's all.
Absolutely.
That's all. We'll go over that in a second. But yeah, so Mark Anthony Green, he wrote and directed this movie. And yeah, this is his directorial debut. And honestly, for a movie that is like your first time, you probably did pretty good. Yeah. I am concerned that this guy will never be able to actually create his magnum opus because this movie didn't do super well.
No, yeah, I would say as a movie literally titled Opus, it was not necessarily that, not a magnum opus.
Do you remember when the font for this movie started and it was just the font from Pearl?
Yeah, there's a bit of a preamble to the movie before the actual title card is shown in it. I've never seen a more Pearl-esque title card.
It's also very pretentious. Like it was the kind of title card where it flashes on the screen and you're like, okay, we get it. You're making a movie.
I understand.
You're trying to be art house.
Very proud of this movie.
Actually, that's probably how I would describe this movie. It was
trying to be
art house. And I did read somewhere that someone said it was like a parody of A24 movies.
It feels,
and it does kind of feel that way, where it's like it kept forgetting it was supposed to be an art house film, so it would like throw in something
every
to
so
try
often
and make it seem like
to
an
remind
example
you. Yeah,
movie.
here are like art house staples. We did these things. Can you call us art house, please?
Yeah, look at my house. Isn't this made of art? I painted it.
I have an artsy house. Please call me art house.
I painted an apple and a Uncrustable on the side of my house.
Mr.
Does that
House.
make it a Mr. House?
Mr. House was my father. Please call me Art.
It's me, Mr. House. No,
Oh God, Dad's here.
no, I can't do it. I can't. I was trying to do. What's his face? Oh, I love him. I can't remember his name.
Hugh Laurie.
Yeah, I was trying to do Hugh Laurie doing an American, doing a grumpy American,
That's a lot of layers.
and it's trying to
Hugh Laurie doing an American, doing a grumpy American.
What is this? The rule book? Ah, throw that away.
Okay, yeah, it's
I
there.
don't know.
I'm with
it's
you.
distant. It's distant.
There's a distant Laurie about you.
It's a different what?
There's a distant Laurie about you.
Oh, like the car that they drive in Britain.
Yeah, exactly that one.
Well, so anyway, Opus, it debuted,
Opus.
and everything we say should be taken with a little bit of a grain of salt because this movie did did release in theaters 8 days ago.
Yes.
And it's really hard to watch this movie. We had to go at
Yeah.
11:30 p.m. and it was the only time the movie was showing.
Yeah, not
we
a lot
like
of
seeing movies
showtimes.
late at night anyway, so it was like
Not a
fine.
problem.
But the fact that it was the only showtime, I was like, there was 4 theaters in all of Utah.
Yeah, and we went to this one theater that
premiering this film.
we've been to a couple times at this point. We were in like a corner of the theater I have never been to before. We
Yeah,
were
it
like
was-
shoved in the very, very corner.
You know
of the
how when
movie
you go into a
theater.
movie theater, they're like, all right, you're down this hall to the right, to the left. This person gave us a paper that said turn right, turn
like
left, turn left, turn
crudely
right,
drawn
turn left,
with
turn left.
crayons.
When you get to the sign in the road, turn a quarter to your left and you'll see a slightly open door. We went through that door. There was a man there standing
Yeah,
there
and if
who'd
you
been
look-
standing there for like 40
If
years.
you look at the corner of your vision and you see the Hat Man, you've gone too far. Go back. Start.
And we
You have to
did-
start over.
We did. Oh my God. Speaking of the Hat Man.
Yeah.
So yesterday I'm performing in a show.
Oh,
And
this is real. We're
this
outside.
is-
That's the bit. It's done.
The bit's done. We made it. None of that happened. We were just in like the last theater on the left.
Last theater
Reference?
on the left.
Anyway, so last night I'm performing in my show, and I see
I'm so curious how this pertains to the Hat Man. What is happening in the show?
faintly in the back corner of the theater.
No.
I saw someone just standing up with a hat on,
What?
and it was
No, like what kind of hat?
like a top hat.
Okay.
like it was like a hat, like a hat.
A hat that stood out, not just like some guy in his like baseball cap.
Yeah, and I was kind of freaked out, and I asked one of my castmates if they saw that person, and they said no. And I was like, "What?" And it was scary. That's basically the whole story.
You become so exhausted with doing this show and living life, doing this great podcast that you were seeing the Hat Man in your
I've seen
waking
the Hat
life.
Man. I mean, maybe it was just because like some people will stretch their legs and stand up, but like the way he was standing and the way he was just out of the light.
Are we talking like middle of the show? Like
No, this was towards the end.
Okay.
This was towards the end.
Yeah.
And- But it was like dark back there, and I couldn't. There's like framed pictures all over the walls.
Yeah.
Like kind of like The Shining-esque.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know if there was actually a guy there standing staring at us, or if like no one was there. Anyway,
Yeah.
it scared me.
I do I think it'd be really spooky if he started like smiling at you though. That'd be a big thing.
It was a pretty big theater.
like
so I would be
smile
able to
too,
see
you
the
know, like a big
smile.
scary thing. You see someone that nobody else sees.
But what if it was like a Babadook where I could only see his smile?
Oh, and then nothing else, just the smile in the darkness.
Yeah.
Derek, to mention smile too, can we please talk about something that you brought up to me
Yeah,
beforehand?
I was about to talk about it.
Yes, please. Because now we've got another installment. I want us to keep going with this of horror movies that create fake pop singers or fake singers at
Yes.
all. Then they actually release their music onto Spotify like a real thing,
Because
right?
this is the third time
yeah, because,
that I know of.
Because we've had
Well, it
Trap.
just happened again, though.
Yeah, because we have Trap that existed with what is it? It's M. Night Shyamalan's daughter.
Yeah.
And then there was Naomi Scott in Smile 2 as Sky Riley, who has her own individual Spotify page, which is hilarious to me, as Sky Riley herself. And then now we have John Malkovich playing Alfred Moretti, I think is his name. Alfred Moretti.
It's Moretti. Well, his band name is just Moretti.
Yeah. And now he's also on Spotify with his music done by Nile Rodgers in The Dream.
Well, and apparently there's another movie that just came out with Samara Weaving in
Oh,
it
love her.
called Borderline.
Is there also music in that?
Apparently she's another singer.
What
She's
is
a
going
90s
on?
pop star.
What is happening?
But I don't know if that one had an album
Yeah.
that came out with it. And I'm going to be really disappointed if there's not.
But yeah, so the point is,
I
like,
don't
we
think
have
there is.
we have several like new horror movies just within this past like year or two that are coming onto Spotify, and some of them have some more listens than the other one. Derek was kind of giving me the breakdown of it earlier.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just have to check and make sure that this doesn't have
Like a recording,
like
album?
a recording. But her name's just Sophia. Yeah, it doesn't look like it. Dang it. You guys missed out on the opportunity. They had the Mondo Boys do the music for it, though.
Who's the Mondo
I've not seen
Boy?
this movie yet. I've heard it's mid. I am planning on watching it, though.
Me too. So who are the Mondo Boys?
That's what I'm looking at right now. They are guys.
Just some guys. Just a couple of dudes.
Oh, they're fairly well known.
I'm Johnny Mon, and this is John Doe, and we're the Mondo Boys.
Oh, hey, man. I'm actually kind of proud of you for that one.
Thank you. Thank
That
you.
was a solid 7.
I worked hard on that. I
10.
worked hard on that one there.
I'll appreciate that one later.
I do really appreciate the fact, though, that like they have these things that are happening, and they don't just live within the movies. Like I don't have to go to YouTube to watch a clip from the movie with them talking over it to listen to this song.
Absolutely. Well,
I like that I can go to Spotify because, like, honestly, out of all of them, Sky Riley, absolutely my favorite. There are some songs throughout that like I'm not even huge into pop music. I would go and listen to it because it was so good.
Remember how I was talking about go check out our Smile 2 review. I was talking about how there's a song she wrote that she didn't write it, that she performed, and I was listening to it the next day driving to work, and it
like jump scared you, right?
Yeah, it was actually like kind of creepy.
The horror goes beyond. That's another cool thing. We need to keep doing stuff like that where the marketing goes so deep that we're like releasing albums for it, and there's still scares to be had even in that. Like that's nuts.
So I was curious though, and out of these three, the craziest thing about this is this is all within a year. This is with 1 year we have 3 separate artists created on Spotify
3 queens
for 3 movies. Like that's wild to me, and they're all horror movies.
Yeah, that's the best part about it.
So Sky Riley, or what's her name? Naomi Scott in Smile 2. She's currently sitting at 317,000 monthly listeners on Spotify.
And warranted, because her songs kicked ass. She was really, really good.
Well, and I would argue that it is the best movie out of the 3, too.
I would also argue that.
Because that movie I gave like a 5 and put it in my top 10.
Absolutely.
I would not have done that with Trap
No.
or with Opus.
Opus.
Even though Trap did almost make it in my top 10. But
yes, it did. But I couldn't tell if that was for the bit or because you really enjoyed it.
that movie was a movie. But then Lady Raven, this one gets me.
Yeah.
So Trap was created by M. Night Shyamalan
with one purpose.
For
not
his
one purpose.
daughter, Salika, who is already an artist. She's already an established
artist,
singer
yeah.
on Spotify. This movie was created for her to promote her music. She wrote an entire album for this movie, released it as Lady Raven / Salika. She only has 137,000 monthly listeners.
So, like, Sky Riley was only created and only existed after Smile 2 would come out, right? But we're talking Salika. She is already had listeners beforehand and cannot live up to this fictional artist.
Well, and Sky Riley only has 6 songs. Because if you've seen the movie, you'll understand why she only has 6 songs. And so this woman with only 6 songs came in and just
destroyed her.
I wonder if Naomi Scott's getting royalties.
She has to, right?
Wait, dude, Naomi Scott has her own Spotify.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she has 4 million monthly listeners.
Well, I know because she was in the Aladdin movie. She was in Lemonade Mouth. So, like, she has already been on other soundtracks, so it makes sense. Also, I was telling Derek about this earlier. They released the lineup for Lollapalooza this year, and something that is astounding to me is that she is there, not as Sky Riley, but as Naomi Scott. And I'm like, okay, hold on. She does not have any albums of her own unless she goes up there and sings songs as Jasmine or
she's
as a
going to go up
character
there
from
and sing A Whole New World.
Like, I really think, like, the only thing I can assume is she's going to get up there and start singing some of the songs from Smile 2. And honestly, a live Sky Riley performance sounds so cool.
Riding a new brain.
Oh, it's so good.
That song.
Go listen to Sky Riley. She's
just
great.
Go see Smile 2. That movie is so good.
Absolutely, you should do that. Should they go and listen to Mr. John Malkovich as Alfred Moretti?
Yeah, so that movie, I mean, okay, this just came out.
Mm-hmm.
It probably hasn't been popular, but it's only sitting about 30,000 listens right now.
Yeah. So
Kinda
not
makes
a ton.
me a little sad.
And again, like we're right, it did just come out. So the numbers have not had time to accumulate yet. Yeah. I can't say I imagine they'll get much higher.
I mean,
it
does have Nile Rodgers and The Dream attached to it.
True.
And one of the songs, Dina Simone. That song kind of worked, kind of didn't work. The other, I mean, they were all fine. Like the 3 songs, that's how I would describe them. They were just fine.
There are like 3 separate moments where we rehear one of Moretti's songs, this like famed, esteemed like artist in the movie, right? And we hear a couple of songs. The first one we hear is Dina Simone, and it's like when I first heard it without listening too intently, I was like, okay, I can get it, kind of a bop.
Oh, I like the way you have pants. I like the way you coffee. You put it
Simone
in my lap with your piece of hair, Dina.
Yeah, it's a lot of just like cool beats underneath it, and then John Malkovich half singing, half talking.
He was doing that talking head thing, right? That's right.
Yeah,
That's what,
I guess something a little
he's
bit
kind
more
of doing
that. Just
like the,
more sexed up, I would say.
yeah, like a very sexed up talking head style of like.
Yeah, it's like, I like your tight jeans.
Because what's that really famous talking head song? You know, where he like talks a bunch. You may find yourself.
Oh, Once in a Lifetime?
Yeah.
You may
Wearing
ask
a
yourself,
t-shirt.
how did I get here?
You may be wondering, what am I doing? I just offended.
This is
Steve.
not my beautiful wife.
My father-in-law is going to fire me for doing this. But like, you know what I mean.
My favorite iteration of that song is still Much Love to the Talking Heads, but I still love when they did that on the Muppet Show and Kermit did it.
Was so
and one of
good.
those in the big suit.
Yes.
It was incredible.
So good.
Incredible performance by Mr. the Frog.
That was Talking Heads, right?
Yes, that's the Talking Heads.
Oh my god!
For sure.
I just had a full
You're
mental
safe.
breakdown.
You're safe in this space. Your father-in-law does not have to execute you publicly.
He might
this time
anyway.
for forgetting.
Well, I
No
tend-
son-in-law of mine will forget the Talking Heads.
he makes me into a talking head.
Oh, it's good.
That was pretty good. Anyway, yeah. So Moretti, like, I get what they were doing here
Yeah.
with this movie, right? They're really trying to make this guy like the star. They were
Yes.
trying to make him like a Freddie Mercury,
Yes,
or
like a
Prince,
David
or
Bowie,
like a Prince or a David Bowie.
Yeah, like this huge thing, right? This Beatles level fame, but as a single artist.
Yeah, and I guess that's a great way to describe the movie. They were like, what if like one of the Beatles or Prince or David Bowie started a cult?
Yeah. What if he did something like a Jared Leto kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, remember that time Jared Leto actually started a cult?
Really actually did that? And I think you're hitting the nail on the head here with like an issue within this movie. A lot of it is like, what if we did this thing that already exists? I feel like there are so many aspects of this movie. It's like, what if we did this? What if we did a Midsummer? What if we did a Jared Leto? What if we did this thing? You know, it's like they keep striving to be something else instead of just being their own thing. Like they just wanted to take from so many other things that it just kind of made it so it did not live up to any of them, truly.
Oh, absolutely. So those of you who did not know,
Yes.
Jared Leto actually did start a cult.
This is not a joke.
Fake.
This is real life.
So I remember right before this happened, me and Emily saw Muse in concert, and 30 Seconds to Mars opened for them. And Jared Leto came out in like a floral dress,
like he's
and like
Jesus.
Literally invited children up onto the stage to sing with him, and then he actually walked across the audience singing "Walk on Water." It was the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life.
The way this man thinks of himself, it's crazy.
But then he actually invited his quote unquote followers, who call themselves the Echelon. They went to a retreat in Croatia.
Hey, Derek, I got the cult reader here, and it's off the charts.
No,
it's going
no.
crazy.
It's a family.
I got the familyometer,
It's the Echelon.
the cultometer.
I'm reading. This is from l'officiel.cy. I'll just read it verbatim, just
Please
so you
give it
understand that this actually happened.
This is not a bit.
Jared Leto and the band started a cult. The band invited fans who called themselves the Echelon.
The
to
band is in
retreat.
like the other members of 30 Seconds to Mars.
yeah.
Oh, so they're in on it too.
Well, yeah, they're all brothers, like literally.
I did not know that actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
That tracks.
Anyway, so they invited him to Croatia, where Leto was dressed in white robes.
A likely
and
place.
Hundreds of devotees came for like a 3-day music festival with yoga and movie screenings and lots of sex. It doesn't say that, but it definitely happened.
Yeah, it's definitely implied.
And the thing about it though is, I felt like it was so. I feel like he was just like, it kind of felt like it was a gimmick.
Yeah.
Right, it was like him being like, "Look at me, I'm starting a cult. I'm Jesus."
And it really just feels like a bragging point that he can say. It's like, yeah, no, people love me. I started a cult.
But like to a certain extent, how much of this is fake? Like how far do you go with the bit before it becomes reality? Right? And
do you think there was any point of it where he's like, I've gone too far. I don't want to do with this. There's a bunch of people on my compound.
No, I think he was looking in the mirror and he was like, "You've gone too far." And then the man in the mirror smiled back and said, "You've gone not far enough.
You haven't gone far enough. The Jesus within him. You have not gone far enough, my son."
So anyway, they decided to make a movie that was basically that.
Yeah. So should we have we danced around it long enough? Should we get into this?
Yeah,
You got
let's
any more
talk about
stats for me?
I mean, not really. This movie cost $10 million to make, and it has only made $1.8 million. So, I mean, it's making money, but it's not going to really go higher than that.
No, at the rate we're at currently.
Well, it's just not releasing anywhere.
No.
So it's not gonna get any money.
Like
until
if we're already
it releases on streaming services.
Yeah, we're already at the point where like the showings are dwindling at the theaters and stuff. So I can't imagine it's going to make any more money.
Incredible.
Shall we talk about our expectations for this?
Let's do it.
So this is a weird instance for us because I think it's just kind of the nature of us, like the timing that we had to see this movie. Typically, we'll sit together, we'll get our notes all written out, we'll like watch a trailer, write the expectations based on it. We didn't do any of that this time. It was just such a quick thing that we're like, we got to go see it in the theaters. So
because it's leaving theaters, we were running out of time. We literally had to do it.
Exactly. So what we did instead, we did not watch a trailer. We used what little knowledge. I think you knew a little bit more than I did.
I knew a little bit, yeah.
But I like really kind of went in pretty blind to this movie, so we didn't really have any expectations to begin with, and then also did not take notes during the movie, which is a first.
Yeah.
So this will be interesting to see how the discussion of said movie goes down.
Great.
I'm excited about it.
I bet it turns out better than normal. I bet we like it.
I think you might be right. So anyway, so I tried to come up with some expectations just based on like how I was feeling beforehand, not actually having any like formal knowledge of it with a trailer like we normally do. So my first one said that John Malkovich will be one of the best parts of the film. Like that's really going to be like my he's going to be a highlight in it.
I already see that both of our first two expectations are the same because I also wrote John Malkovich is insane, which is obviously a pro.
Always going to be the case. My second one said Io Edebury will be great, but hard to see in a horror setting.
I've probably changed the same. I've probably changed it.
Either way, we love her. Much love to her and her name. Much respect.
And those of you who don't know her, I mean, she's kind of on the rise. She's been a voice actor in a few things.
Yeah.
She also starred in The Bear.
Yes.
Starring The Bear.
Like one of her more notable claims to fame recently, right?
Yeah, but she's so great because she just like is always out there like on Letterboxd and stuff. Like if
her Letterboxd is great.
It is unhinged as hell.
It's wonderful.
She's really funny.
You love to see actors who love movies. They love film. Yes. Like I feel like I see way too often there are actors, especially like some younger actors, they're just like, oh, I don't want to watch like a 3-hour movie. I hate that. No, like we need people in there who love this art form, not just being in it, but watching it as well, experiencing it, right?
Yeah, so The Bear was kind of her breakout, but she was also in that movie Bottoms that people really like.
Right.
She was in Across the Spider-Verse as Glory Grant, and then she was also in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem as April O'Neil.
That's right. I forgot she played April in that one. It was a wonderful movie too. That was a great one. But so I was thinking, like, I think she will be great. I will not dislike her. It's just weird for me to see her with such a kind face and her cute smile, to see her within this horror setting. I felt like she would feel a little out of place for me.
Oh, absolutely. I get what you mean. Yeah. My expectation was that she was just going to be charming as hell.
Yeah, absolutely. And that goes hand in hand with what I'm saying, right? Yeah. I said there's probably going to be pretty deliberate call-outs to other like cultist things, like something more towards like what Jared Leto did or something, other famous cults and what they had done, their activities, their methods and things like that. I felt like they were going to be very like, again, I feel like there's so much like trying to be other things within this one.
And I mean, similar to you, I said more culty than anything. I just felt like it was going to be just like a cult. There wasn't really going to be any like exciting intrigue.
Yeah, no, for sure. My fourth expectation was just fine, just a fine movie.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting to like it nor hate it. I was like, I think it's just going to be okay. I think.
Music will be forgettable was my next one.
Ooh,
I felt like I would not get any earworms.
No, though not from lack of trying, though, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. My final expectation just said probably very little horror factor within it. Because I was actually surprised when you brought it to me, because like I had kind of run into it on the internet, on Twitter, people talking about, oh, here's Opus. And I barely remember the fact that it's even a horror movie. Yeah. And like, oh, here's a horror movie that's doing kind of bad for the podcast. And I was like, is it horror? What about like, and then looking at the synopsis and like, okay, there's a writer, there's a rock star, he's got a cult. Okay, where does the horror come in? So I was thinking like there wouldn't be much fear factor, much horror actually within this movie.
It was horror or something.
Yeah, yes, it was.
And then my final one is crazy weird kills. Just, like Midsummer style, right? Like you get all these weird cult kills.
Yeah,
I don't know what else to call.
No.
Kills with a C.
Mm-hmm.
Kills.
Sills. Did we? I just realized we kind of skipped over. Did we want to mention what the critics were thinking about this one before we dive right into this one? My favorite one. This is an actual critics review. A top critic on Rotten Tomatoes, Mark Kermode, in no more than 5 words, just says, "I kind of enjoyed it." That's it. Whole review.
But the inflection is very important. This is why written word will always get destroyed.
It's tough
by
because you get the wrong inflections, right?
Heard word is you say I kind of enjoyed it, but you could also be I kind of enjoyed it.
I kind of enjoyed it.
Or I kind of enjoyed it.
Kind of enjoyed it.
I kind of enjoyed it.
Or more like I kind of enjoyed it.
Yeah, I kind of enjoyed it.
Whoa. Okay. Now you're right. You make a strong point
because
on written word.
Because then we talk about Edwin Arnudian's review with another 5-word review, an impressive feature directorial debut. Because like when I say it like that, you're like, was that not a positive? But it's actually a positive review with a B-. An impressive feature directorial debut.
Yeah, it's tough.
Context is important.
It's incredibly important.
The more you know, kids.
So there's so those are 2 positive reviews on it. Here's a rotten review here from Nicholas Bell from Fish Jelly Films on YouTube. Says a muddled mishmash of cult tropes and contemporary genre narratives, all comparatively done better elsewhere, which I would agree. Opus is an aggravating cacophony of confused ideas, which amounts to nothing more than a half-assed mutation of a Jonestown/Scientology massacre.
Oof.
Damn.
Oof.
Well said, honestly, Nicholas Bell.
I'll say what I want to say after this.
Yeah,
Joe Fryer of Fort Worth Report says the film needs a little bit more shock and a little less aw. It plays better as satire than horror, but Atterbury and Malkovich are entertaining to watch.
Yep. Would agree.
After we saw this movie, I was getting literal advertisements from the Church of Scientology trying to recruit me. That's
He's
not even a
kidding.
joke.
We get home afterwards, us and our friend Seth, and he sends us this picture. It's like, I'm getting ads for Scientology now. They found me.
It was crazy.
They're always listening, guys. They're always listening.
All
right, so we got all our preamble out of the way. We've gone long enough not talking about Opus. Are you ready? Let's get into Opus, which again, I have no notes for, so this is going to be really, really interesting.
You're
for me.
outing yourself so hard.
It's tough.
I'm just
scared.
improv it. You could just vibe it, man.
Yeah, I have 5 pages of notes.
You don't have to lie.
But so we'll give you...
Improv isn't lying.
Improv isn't lying. You see, officer, I wasn't lying when I said I didn't murder him.
I was just
It was
riffing.
improvised.
I was just... what are you gonna?
I thought we were doing a bit.
I thought you were gonna yes and me, police officer. You're standing there with a gun in your hand, covered in blood. What do you mean, officer? I bought this gun at the grocery store.
I asked the dead body for a person, a place, or an occupation. My occupation was guy who didn't murder that guy.
Yeah, and he said, "That's great." See, watch. Let me wave his hand. That's great, buddy. The police officer's like, all right, I'm an improv man myself. He flashes his improv shirt that he wears under his police
starts
officer
unbuttoning
uniform.
his uniform and he pulls it out. Yeah, it's an improv shirt.
It just says yes, period, and period.
Yes. And he's starts tearing up and he takes off his shirt and underneath it there's one that says no, comma, but. Anyway, so here's the synopsis for Opus. It says, a young writer travels to the remote compound of a legendary pop star who mysteriously disappeared 30 years ago. Surrounded by a cult of sycophants and intoxicated journalists, she soon finds herself in the middle of his twisted plan.
Oh, a twisted plan.
Plan. So they do this thing where they just kind of make him out to be this incredible star, right?
yeah.
Everybody's always talking about him because she's a journalist kind of struggling to find her way in her field, right? And it's a typical story of a woman struggling in this field, getting stepped over by many men. Even there's this one sad scene where she tells her friend what her goals are.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah. He's like, what's the end goal here? She's like, I don't know, maybe write a book about my life and my stories. And he flat out tells her no one gives a shit about your opinion.
I mean, okay. On one hand, I'm like dick bag. On
bag.
the other hand, I'm like
also honest and
it's probably good for her to hear
it's a
that.
brutal industry, it's tough.
But then she doesn't learn a lesson because she does write a book at the end of this.
Yeah, she does do it anyway. He basically tells her you come from a decent upbringing, you're in a good class as far as the world.
Yeah, he instead of roasting her,
Yeah.
he just describes all the ways that she's lived a great
Uninteresting.
life.
Yeah, she's like, you have no problems in your life. You're like a middle class person, go to a good school, had a good upbringing, your parents were fine, you don't have any experience to make your stories interesting, right? So basically all she can take from that is I'm going to go find those experiences. Yeah. But they really find her.
She does nothing to further her career.
No, yeah. But so John Malkovich's character, this Alfred Moretti character, comes out of the woodworks all of a sudden. Everybody's talking about how he just dropped this new album out of nowhere, and it's this huge thing. The whole world is going crazy. There's this sequence of tons of people listening to his album, just doing day-to-day things.
Dina.
They're going to the gym, they're washing dishes.
Simone.
And that's all it is, just this
Dina. Simone. There's a guy in a gorilla costume.
Yeah,
dancing.
What's that about?
I don't know, man. It was just trying to show that everybody in all walks of life. You've got your yoga, you got your drug addicts on the street. You've got your gorilla costume guys. They're all out
walks
there.
of life.
They're all out there listening to Dina Simone.
Yeah, so it really just goes to show you, like, this guy is a really, really big deal. He was a big deal 30 years ago, which also feels strange to me because after 30 years, I feel like it would have dropped off, a bit. Like, it wouldn't be quite so easy to get that big again. There are a lot of other stars.
Okay, if David Bowie came back to life and released an album after 30 years, probably
rock the world a little bit.
I mean, there's a few artists out there. Like if Bob Dylan died and then came back to life in 30 years.
I mean, yeah, if several of them had died and come back,
I started a cult.
Is that
I'm
Bob Dylan?
Bob Dylan. Actually, Bob Dylan talks.
How does it feel
How
to come
does it
back from the
feel?
dead?
Mine's better.
What was yours?
No, I was just saying my impression.
Oh, your impression is better. right to a person's face. I did it better.
Hey, I did it better. You do
Imagine
impressions
going
better
up-
than me.
Imagine going up to like a comedian at a show and he's doing impressions and you do it from the audience. Mine is better. Hey, Peter.
Hey,
My impression was better.
why did it have to be Family Guy?
That's the first thing that popped into my head.
Hey, Peter.
Hey,
I
Peter.
just- oh,
That's pretty good.
say it,
Mine's
Nick.
better.
Yeah, there it is.
But the point is, so yeah, they're doing a big show about being like, John Malkovich, this Moretti guy is a really, really big deal. Everyone loves his music. Nobody hates
Literally
it.
It even shows like the Billboard Top 100, and he's like number 3.
Yeah,
like
like-
I don't even remember. I wish we had this movie on DVD so I could
to like
pause
look and
it
see.
and see who they claim is
Yeah.
better.
But so he does this. He makes this big to do about like sending personal invites to some people to come to his quote unquote compound, right?
He sends them a goddamn gift basket with like chocolates and a book
And the record.
and
in
the
it.
record. And immediately though, he sends them basically his Bible.
Yes,
Right.
He's got this like manifesto book.
Yeah, it's they call themselves the Levelists.
The Levelists.
Which like what does that mean?
It's just a culty name.
The whole society is way better than Levelists.
whole society is way better.
I did put a period on the end of that joke, so we can't really reference back to it. But like,
damn.
it's fine.
The bit is over. You said so. That's
I
the
did.
bit. It's
And-
done.
And as soon as you've said that,
There's no going back.
it's done.
Well, there's no more callbacks. Nothing. That's the scary part about putting a period on a bit.
Never
But he
put
sends
a period on your
sends personal invites to these people, right? And so this character, what is her name in the movie? I completely forget now. Ariel. Ariel is
Ariel.
her name. Ariel Ecton. So
bit.
Ariel,
Finally got to play Ariel.
her
Good for you,
boss gets an invite to this thing, right? And he's a little shocked to see that she also, by name, is also being invited to this place.
Yeah.
Which, like, to me didn't make much sense because she's not like very acclaimed as a writer at this point. So I'm like, how does he even know she exists even a little bit?
And it does kind of go over that later.
A little.
This just like this whole sequence, all of it, the entire reporter, like she's trying to make a name for herself as a writer and reporter thing. I get where it's coming from, knowing that Mark Anthony Green was a reporter.
It really does feel like a like
He's a little self-indulgent.
inserting
Yeah.
here, where he's like, "Oh, I'm a writer and I know what it's like to struggle as a reporter."
I had to struggle to get where I am, and like I appreciate that. I really do. It didn't work.
No, it kind of feels like one of those things where like you have these two ideas you wanted to marry together and they just do not mesh very well. It's not peanut butter and jelly; it's peanut butter and mayo. You know, like these aren't going well together.
Peanut butter, Peo,
and that's how they came up with peyote.
Meanut butter,
Meanut. Just
meanut butter.
the so nonchalant way you're like me nut mutter. The way you looked at me was
All right. Anyway, like I just like it's a common thread throughout this film where like there are a lot of these really good ideas
Yes.
that just never really go anywhere. And her, I'll tell you right off the bat, her entire reporter plot just doesn't go anywhere.
It didn't need to exist. I get that it was a function to get her to this retreat thing that he was doing, this big experience he had invited like these coveted special people to. Like I get that, but it just didn't work. It didn't go anywhere beyond that. Like, okay, it worked to get her here. Now what are you going to do with that? Pretty much nothing entirely.
Basically nothing.
But so they get to the compound, and immediately it is a sketchy place. Like you're getting creepy Midsummer vibes. There's tons of people, all so goddamn denimed up,
Dude,
denim for days.
Isaac would actually
all
join
over
this.
the place.
You would actually join this cult.
Oh yeah, are you kidding me?
And you would knowing it's a cult. The only issue, all of them drink milk.
All of these.
Okay, Isaac,
let's
play this game real quick.
Gee, I don't know.
Join a cult where you could live free for the rest of your life wearing denim and
just
nothing but denim.
denim.
But all you can drink is milk.
Oh god, that's a toughie.
Or
Alternative.
would you live in a compound where all you could drink is denim? but all you can wear is milk.
Are we talking like milk frozen into the shape of clothes?
Yeah, you have to
like
change every few hours.
That's got to be terrible for the cows are just sucked dry out there.
Again, how do you know it comes from cows?
I don't want to know the source
There were
of
not
the milk.
any cows on that fucking compound.
There weren't. You're right. They had no animals.
Just saying.
Where are they getting all the milk?
It's oyster milk.
It's oyster milk. And the oysters come up.
I am now
a little bit
going
later.
to throw up. Thank you.
Throwing up at the thought of oyster milk.
Stop.
Denim for days. I'm going to start a cult and call it the Denim Devotees.
Denim for days.
The Denim Devotees.
D4D.
Welcome to our Denim Days, and we're going to hold a festival where it's like nothing but denim, and it's just a celebration of the wonders of the American fabric.
And then everyone's passing around a flask. What's in that flask?
What's in the...
It's milk.
It's dilk. It's denim milk.
No, you can't say dilk.
Well, it's better than menem.
That's like, Dad, I like cats.
We're losing the point, Derek. We're getting so far away. Anyway, they're all wearing denim. That's like their big thing. Like, most cultists are dressed in like white clothes. They all look the same. These ones are all wearing denim. That's their thing.
Like, even to the point where you like see a like Aladdin style marketplace is what it looked like.
A little bit.
Where they're all like standing around making denim clothing.
Yeah. They're just making denim textiles and like pottery and stuff. Like, what is this?
It's like, I don't remember what movie it was in. There was a movie I watched once where someone was making fake jeans and selling them. And it was like a big deal that they were like fake jeans.
Strange.
It felt like that. What's that from?
Feels like something like that. But so they get to this compound, and slowly we're learning a little bit about the like 5 or 6 people that were introduced or like that are being invited to this place. Because it's Ariel and her boss character. There's also like one guy who used to be friends with Moretti. I don't really know their relationship beforehand, but they kind of had this weird falling out that we don't learn a lot about until later.
No.
There's one girl who's just like an influencer. That's her whole gig. There's one girl who's like a reality show host, I think is her thing. There's another girl who's like used to be a reporter back in the day.
I'm so impressed you got all this.
I'm like, I'm surprised I'm remembering all of these right now.
I can't remember any of these people. They were so uninteresting. It was really
Kind of,
unfortunate
yeah.
because I really liked Juliette Lewis.
Yeah.
And I was excited to see her in the movie. And Tony Hale is also in this movie for some reason.
Yeah.
But he plays like this like super fan. He's like a super fan who like has 2 scenes in the entire movie,
That's
and it
it.
looks like he just got dressed in his bedroom and he filmed himself over Zoom and
Yes.
sent in the footage.
Really feels that way. But so we get a little taste of the fact that the one dude who used to know Moretti back in the past, they had some kind of weird falling out. So immediately I clocked, oh, okay, everybody here who we invited has something to do. Maybe they wronged him in some way in the past, and he's invited them here to get some kind of revenge, right? But so everything's creepy. Every single person invited here has like basically an escort around the entire place that will not leave their side.
Okay, I actually did like this.
That was
bit.
pretty cool. It was also
didn't
kind of funny too.
Really go anywhere?
No.
But it was a fun little thread that
Yes.
they sewed into the movie. Like the one that's following Ariel around.
Yes. Will not leave her
She
side
wants
no
to go
matter
for
what.
a jog in the morning.
Mhm.
Which I don't know. It felt so incongruous. It just
Yeah.
didn't fit. Like she's like, okay, I'm awake now. I'm in this compound. I'm gonna just go for a jog.
Yeah, time to go for a jog.
And I mean, okay, I don't know. This part I was screaming about. Though.
Yeah.
Do you remember? She's going through a jog in the compound, and
Uh-huh.
it's like 6 a.m. Everybody's already
Everyone
out.
in town is up.
They're all out and they're doing jobs. They're cooking. They're making jeans. There's kids out getting lessons.
Well, Derek, the third principle of the levelist is thou must be awake and up and at 'em at 6 a.m.
Dude, I was so shocked. Oh, another thing we should mention. We'll talk about it later. Never mind.
But yeah, so she goes on a jog, and so the lady who is accompanying her the whole time has to
Following
stay
her around.
with her. So she follows her like a good 30 feet behind her, and every time she stops running, she just stops jogging too. Like they just are she
Robots.
shadows her the
Actual
whole time,
robots.
and she seems pissed off to be there the entire time. Like she is not happy to be accompanying Ariel in this entire thing.
Unless that's just her face.
Maybe.
she's just mad.
Maybe that's it. But so we see the first kill is the guy who had a falling out with Moretti in the past. He's getting a massage, and we see his head through the table of the massage table or whatever is like through that little hole that they have in there. He found the hole, Derek. He found the hole
It was the whole hole.
in his whole soul. Now we put a period on that bit. We can't do it.
No, we can keep bringing it back.
But so then you see some people walk into the room. They hold him against the table, and then you just hear sounds of like drilling and cutting and slashing, and it just cuts away from him.
Okay, and this is a perfect example of how this movie gives us nothing.
Yes.
Because this could have been a cool first kill.
Absolutely.
Because when it first happened, I was like, oh, that was interesting.
Yes.
Like, I'm excited to get more.
Yeah.
You know, it was like a little taste.
Yes.
This was a little taste of the cult activity. It was like, why is he dying?
It was
that
off
was
to
a
good
great
start.
establishment.
I liked that.
It was a fantastic moment,
Because
right?
Because then from there you can kind of suss out, okay, other people are going to slowly get picked off for some reasons. They wronged him in the past for something.
Well, and you also, he disappears, right?
Yes.
He dies. Also, they were doing something into his back. They were like drilling into him.
It was weird.
Which is not actually what was happening, but it was what we were perceived to believe was happening. So like in my brain, what I was expecting was like him to be draped up like with wings or something, like hanging from
Something
the wall.
nasty.
Like this like big reveal.
Yes. But no, not quite.
We didn't get that
See,
at
they
all.
started off at a good pace where I thought maybe they would do some cool things with this. And then later on, there's like they have this whole like weekend retreat for them, I guess, like mapped out to the hour, right? They do some crazy things.
Where they're dropping singles every few hours.
Can I talk about one of the crazier things that happens in this movie?
The milk?
There's a bit where they basically bring into your room a team of people who are here to dress you, make you your best self, right? And they're like, okay,
Dude,
fine.
this
They
didn't
get the
need to
right
happen.
makeup for her skin tone. That's fine. They give her nice clothes. They do her hair all nice. The very last thing is one of the women takes like this little razor, this little this little shaver. What are they called? Trimmer. Yeah. And she basically tells Ariel that she's like, oh well, Moretti likes everyone to be like nice and properly trimmed down in your nether regions, right?
What did she called it? Her female hedge?
Hedge? Yeah, something bush like.
Yeah. Gross.
No, exactly. And so like, and they do, and she lets her do that.
Well, she fought it pretty hard, which
she did,
understandably. But there were a lot of things that bugged me about this.
You were bothered by the fact that the dress would not allow for that.
No, she was wearing like one of those pencil skirt dresses that are like super, super tight and like over her knees.
Yeah, she like trimmed it while she was still had a dress on.
Yeah, and I mean, it's fine.
They did not show.
They didn't show
any
it.
of that. It
thank
was,
God.
Thank goodness. Yeah, because that would have been weird and gross.
But it was like they watched Midsummer and they're like, oh wait. People get grossed out by pubic hair.
Yes, we need. And again, it's another pull from something else that it wants to be but cannot live up to.
Let's have a scene where she's fully dressed and someone turns on a shaver and drops pubes on the ground.
Yeah, like what?
Hey,
now you're thinking.
Here's $10 million. I made 24.
Dang, Nile Rodgers, that's a great idea.
Nile Rodgers did that. That was his idea. He's like, yeah, when I have fans come over to my house, I have them trim their pubic hair.
Oh my God.
But I want it to be there. I want them to have a bush.
The funniest part about that is the fact that like later on, like right after that scene, she meets up with some of the other people and she was like, hey, did they have to like shave you? And before she can even finish, they're like, yep, just kind of like, don't want to talk about it. It was a weird thing that happened, but yep, that happened.
And you may be thinking to yourself, okay, well, they're going to have like orgies and stuff. No. Which
is
fine.
Because that was her immediate concern. She's like, is he going to be seeing that part of me at any point? And they were like, no, but just in case. Like, in case what?
Do you think he's kind of freaky and he likes to have people like, why am I saying this? They want to like have like, you know how people trim their hedges to be like shapes?
Like Edward Scissorhands in the shape of like, this golfer. Something crazy.
I don't know.
Anyway, the point is...
golfer's actually kind of funny.
The point is, the other people here are also experiencing and acknowledging the fact that this is kind of weird. But again, Moretti is such this idol, this icon, that they are willing to put up with it, even though this place is super weird.
Dude.
In fact, in that same scene, her boss character, who's like, again, he's trying to take all of the credit for like the story that they write about this place. He's kind of shitty. He gets shot. They say it's in the shoulder.
God. This
Derek
pissed
was
me off
mad about
so
this.
bad.
Derek, tell me about this part.
People don't understand continuity. I don't understand how.
No.
Like, the dress is a perfect example of continuity.
Yeah.
This is another example. My guy gets shot through the chest. The arrow is sticking out of his back.
Yeah, you
can
see him
it.
get shot. It looks like he gets shot like near, like almost where his nipple would be in the
it's
front, like straight
it's to
through
the
his
left of
chest
his
area.
shoulder bone. Like
Yeah.
we clock it. You pay attention to it.
Yeah.
It's not something you have to like little find.
No.
The next goddamn scene, he's wearing an arm sling.
And they're like, oh,
That's
yeah.
it.
He's like, yeah, the doctor says it really just mostly got my shoulder. I'm like, dude, that thing was through your lung.
That was right next to your heart,
no
my guy.
way are you just like chilling after that. He's totally fine.
That went through your ribs. That went through your back.
And again, he does not mind. He's like, oh, Moretti, what a crazy place. It was like just some kid that shot him accidentally. The kid even comes like, I'm so sorry. I slipped and I shot you. Oh.
Well, and then Iod Emery's character, Ariel's like, what if it wasn't an accident? What if he's really trying to kill us?
And they all laugh her off.
And I mean, okay, I could see that happening in a movie, right? I could see them being so entranced that they laugh her off.
Mm-hmm.
My issue, though, is that she tries really hard right here and then it just gets dropped.
Yep.
Like that's
Sincerely.
That's another thread that just goes dry because it was like an instant, almost like, never mind.
Yeah.
well, okay, we're cool.
Yeah, but so then she decides, okay, so everyone is not on my side. I'm gonna find something out about this place. So she kind of like escapes from her lady accompanying her guide or whatever she is, and she runs around trying to find, I don't know, anything. I guess she comes across this like nasty looking barn. On the inside of it, there's a ton of stuff for like taxidermy. There's one of those like split goat heads where it's two heads on one head. There's like a bunch of hides and stuff and nasty tools. And away from her, she doesn't catch this, but in the background, you see the severed body of that one character who was getting the massage, right?
Which it was
pretty gruesome to see. I did like the scare factor within that, but she doesn't even see it.
The tension was built pretty good in this moment.
Yeah.
But the fact that his body was just like tucked away under a bed.
Yeah.
And his head was missing.
Yep.
That was it.
Nothing. That's really all we got from it.
And that was the most tense scene in the entire movie.
There's another character who has also gone missing because they were setting up basically like this listening party for Moretti.
Yeah.
He's standing in the middle of like this room of like, 5 chairs around him, dressed in like this gold-plated hoodie. I don't even know how to describe it.
It kind of looked like an armored truck.
Yeah.
That was like turned on its side.
Yeah.
And John Malkovich was in it.
And John Malkovich was in it, piloting this car.
And he premieres his album at this point.
He's like giving them a whole presentation.
But it then just shows a montage of him just like thrusting at people.
Yeah. He's walking around in a circle singing to his own song. He like turns one of the girls around, like kind of starts humping at her a little bit. And she's like, "Oh, ho, you."
And like, okay, I don't know why this bugged me, but
a lot of it bugged me.
I don't know why this specifically bugged me.
Yeah.
He was like humping on everybody and being like super sexual, and then he would like pick up Ariel's hand and just twirled her around and put her back down.
Which I am happy because I did not want to see him being gross to her.
I didn't want him to see being gross to anybody though. Is my point. Like it was just like, what's wrong, man? You fucking dick.
Yeah, it's very strange the way he treated her compared to the other characters there.
He very much held her up on a pedestal.
I suppose makes sense. But when they get there, they're all taking drinks from their glasses. One of the girls, the influencer girl, starts choking on it. She's like starts coughing. He's like, "Oh no, she's probably having an allergic reaction. Take her away. And then we just don't see her for a while. So that's our second person who goes missing.
Peanuts in that drink.
I guess so. I guess some peanut oil.
It's pilk.
It's pilk. It's peanut milk. Mina milk.
Oh my god.
Peanut milk.
No, it's peanut. Wait. Peanut pilk.
It's terrible. But so we're having these, like, they're slowly picking them off, right? And just kind of being like, they slept in this morning. They're still getting ready for the day. They don't really take much notice of the people that start going missing. And so Ariel is like, this place is creepy. I'm super creeped out. I saw the taxidermy place. I want out of here. Yeah. And they're like, unfortunately, that's not going to be possible because like the one car that can get you out of here is gone for the day. They'll be back later.
Yeah.
So she's like, okay, fine. So she subjects to them. She's like, okay, fine. I'll hang out for a little bit longer, but you better get me the fuck out of this place, right?
Yeah.
And then they put on a puppet show.
Okay, but before we do that, we have to talk real quick about the pearls.
The pearls? Tell me. Oh, that's right, because John Malkovich, Moretti is kind of showing her around the compound, right?
Yeah, so before she starts trying to run away, Moretti's kind of giving her a little tour.
Yeah.
This is literally right before.
Because she basically asks him, like, what do you guys do here, you know? Because like, clearly you guys have some... She tries to avoid the word cult, but she's like, you guys have a mentality here, a following that you follow. Typically people who do that do stuff, right?
Yeah. And she named religions, right?
Yeah.
She was like, these religions do this thing, these do this.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, we all do this thing. And he takes her into this little
empty field
with a teepee
with
or
this orange like hut in the middle
of it. It was a little hut.
Yeah. Like a bright orange hut.
And he takes her in and there's this guy sitting there with thousands of oysters.
Just shells.
Thousands
full
of
and empty.
Clams. Cloysters?
Cloister. Either way.
Where do you get pearls
It's
from?
a clam. I think it's an oyster. Yeah, oysters have pearls.
Yeah, it's oysters. Yeah. They're shucking oysters to find pearls because pearls, like, for every 10,000 clams you get, or oyster, you get like one pearl or something is what he says.
And he kind of talks about like the reasoning for that within his religion, where it's like, it's the value of one pearl outweighs the value of like all these empty shells that you have done the work for getting through, right?
So like based on how many pearls you have is how high of a level you are in this cult.
What do they use the pearls for?
That's it. Like it's like what level you are. At least that's what I understood.
But again, like that doesn't really come around. Like they don't utilize the pearls in any way beyond like teaching that lesson.
Well, and for milk.
And for milk, of course. Oyster milk.
Oyster milk.
Pearl milk.
No, but this So throughout the movie up until this point, there's like random shots of people's hands that are like all scarred.
Kind of scarred up, yeah.
But all of the scars look exactly the same and don't actually make a lot of sense where they are on their hands. It turns out it's from shucking oysters.
Because, they just have this like blunt knife that they're shoving into the mouths of these
but that's
things,
actually real.
Which is crazy to me.
I
There
have an
has to
oyster
be a
shucking
better
knife.
way to shuck these things.
There's literally not, because there's a mouth that opens.
Yeah.
Right? You stick the shucking...
But does it have to be a sharp knife? Like, can't it be a little more rounded or something?
No, because it has to cut through the bottom of the oyster. There's a little thing on the bottom of the oyster called like a foot, and you have to cut through that in order to break the two shells apart.
This is why it pays to have like a professional chef on your
Who
podcast.
has shucked hundreds of oysters.
So like, did you ever find a pearl?
Never. What? No, are you kidding me? Never. So you like. Also, it's a different kind of oyster.
Yeah.
So anyway, you stick it in between the mouth of the oyster. You go pop.
Crack it open and get inside of it, right?
Yeah,
but
it's
a weirdly like aggressive sequence of him being like, and like the quick shots of him like struggling to open these clams,
and then he stabs right into his hand.
Yeah, his hand slips, and like the whole blade goes into his hand.
Yeah,
and then he just pulls it out. Takes a little bit of cloth, wraps it up, gets right back to work. He's like, I'm getting these oysters.
And she's like, well, even you did it, and you see some scars on John Malkovich's hands.
He's like, all of us do it. Exactly. It's like, okay, cool. Anyway, let's walk away from this scene, and then they do, and then nothing else happens.
And the movie also walks away from this scene.
Pretty much. The movie also forgets that that's even a relevant thing, even a little bit.
Because then when she's running away, quote unquote running away, she runs into this barn again, and it's
empty.
Completely empty.
No shells in there whatsoever. Nope. So it's like, was that just a fake, a farce? What is that? Like,
no idea. I think they forgot and used that tent as a different set.
Later on, they're like, oh yeah, well, we have this cool tent. Have we used that before? I can't remember.
I don't know.
Doesn't matter. Why does it smell like oysters in here?
Yeah, it's so weird.
But so the what am I trying to say? Where this movie really loses itself is this scene where they're going to do a puppet show for them, right?
Yeah.
And it's this weird puppet show where there's like these rat puppets that look like they were definitely made from like real dead rats.
They looked so good though.
They were great. I did love the puppets.
Ass.
And they had the like, I'm the voice of a rat. I'm a paparazzi. I'm interviewing this star. Her
My
name is
problem
Billy.
with this though is it was a bunch of kids.
Yes, it's supposed to be kids putting on the production.
But it was obviously like adult men.
Yeah. Because no kid sounds like this. Hey, it's me. I'm Billy. I'm 10 years old.
Hey, it's me. I'm Jimmy Carson. I'm 14. But anyway, it's a story about Billie Holiday's life.
Yes.
Is what it does.
What do we know about Billie Holiday?
I mean, she was just a lady.
She was just a lady.
No, she was not just a lady, actually. She was huge influence on the jazz world. Her vocal style, like, she's just incredible.
Which, like, as much as I can love and respect her as an icon and stuff like that, it felt weird that they included her within this story. I'm like, what does she have to do with any of this?
It felt a little pretentious.
It felt like they kind of just wanted a place to talk about Billie.
I feel like Mark Anthony Green really liked her.
Yeah.
And
for a lot of reasons, obviously. She's an important woman.
Yeah.
And we should respect that, of course.
She also had a very
International
tragic
Women's
life,
Month.
too, if I remember correctly.
Because
I should have looked it up beforehand. I can't really remember her life. But
basically, the sequence is like paparazzi getting in her face and asking her these very like personal questions
and
about
she
stuff,
got arrested for having narcotics.
Yeah. And so, like, they're kind of breaking her down, being like, oh, no, like, is it true what they said about this? And she's like, oh, no, I'm sad. She like cries a little bit. But where things start to go crazy within this, because that's already weird enough, they're all sitting on bean bags around the puppet show, and from inside of one of the puppet bags you start to see movement and then arms like fighting against the outside of the bag, and it's the one that Ariel is sitting on. She's like, guys, there's something moving inside of this bag, and sure enough, peeling herself out of this bag is that influencer character earlier who was having that allergic reaction, right? My God, is that allergic reaction not got better. This is one of the the most brutal parts of the movie. Her eyes are swollen shut, her tongue is swelled so much that it's covering her mouth. She cannot breathe past it.
Yeah.
And she's just struggling within the scene. Nobody ever helps her. They don't really do anything about it. And this is the point in the movie where John Malkovich's character basically outs himself as like, yeah, I'm a bad guy. And just starts commanding his people to start stabbing the leftover people.
And it was so unsatisfying, man.
No.
Like, she just crawls out of this bag, which was kind of exciting.
It was, yeah. And she looks terrifying.
We really did expect this to go somewhere. It wasn't peanuts, by the way. He did say that earlier as like a way to make it.
It's like a fake.
It's like a fake.
Mm-hmm.
They actually did poison her.
Yes.
It was like something that was making her body swell at like an incredibly fast rate.
Which is wild. He's like anything like moist inside the body is beginning to expand from within her, which is terrifying.
And
that's
she like
horrible.
She like bursts a little bit, like part of her face, and he gets wet and he gets all pissed.
He gets all angry about it because like her eye like pus, like spits some pus out at him.
Yeah,
Like it's
it's gross.
terrifying. But yeah, so then basically at this point, everyone else that was invited here is now like, oh, this place really is bad. Ariel was not lying. This place is terrible. We need to get out of here.
Doesn't
So
matter
they
'cause
start
they're
to
all dead.
Yeah, they start to panic, and then he basically just kind of kills them all. Like,
So disappointing.
no, again, like we've removed all intrigue and mystery and scariness from the setting, and now it's like, okay, Moretti's a bad guy. He invited these people here because they have some weird past with him, and now he's just going to kill them.
Yep.
So yeah, one of the guys just gets stabbed straight in the chest once. He's dead. Another woman gets brutally stabbed like 100 times over for no reason. Like, and so yeah, another girl who like keeps complaining about her wig being too tight gets pulled by her hair so much that like the top of her scalp starts to rip. Like,
Which was
didn't really go anywhere.
No, it didn't really go anywhere at all. I mean, I knew that it was. So she complained that they put her wig on too tight.
Yeah, and we're like,
the
okay,
beginning.
that's gonna come back,
That's gonna
right?
come back. And it came back by her literally getting her scalp ripped off.
Yeah.
But like, not. It sounds cooler than it actually
Yeah,
was.
it really
just
wasn't
like,
that cool.
Yeah, it was.
'Cause it
just
didn't
kinda
come
boring.
entirely. It was just like the top of her head starts splitting and bleeding
Yeah.
a little bit. But yeah, so then our main character, Ariel, she is able to escape this room and run out. And she, like, through a whole convoluted thing, she does manage to escape the compound, right? She steals some guy's car and gets out of there.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Oh, right.
Hold on.
No.
Whoa.
'cause
Whoa.
I'm jumping way ahead. You're right.
You got to take a breath. Okay, breathe. Drink cyanide.
Okay.
All right. So
Wait,
he
what?
jumps. She goes upstairs and she finds the taxidermied head
Yes.
of the guy's corpse.
Yes.
Right.
And it is kind of funny because they did mention his falling out with Moretti was because he was making fun of the fact that Moretti had one of his dogs stuffed because he loved it so much. He's like, Moretti, that's a weird thing. And so he made fun of him. So he killed him about
Why
it.
is that?
But
People
so
do that all the time.
they put up his taxidermied head next to the taxidermied dog, just
Which
kind of
is
as like a final fuck you to the
next
guy.
to the shelves of cyanide.
Yes.
Because you just got to keep it. You only got one
just
storage
gotta
room.
have it, right?
You got to have them all together. Anyway, so now when she's trying to run away, she gets caught.
Yes.
And they tie her and the
girl with the scalp girl,
to a chair. And then
It's
they start
nighttime.
pouring this creepy liquid for everybody. It's like the level is brand champagne.
It's like all of the hundreds of people
Definitely
who
a
are
mass
here
suicide.
all have glasses of like a champagne or something in their hands, right?
It's
and
the Kool-Aid.
It's really feeling like a Jonestown kind of thing, right? Everyone drink the Kool-Aid, right? And it's like, okay, a bad time here. So they're going to feed it to them, yes. And there's one girl who does help her escape. She is one of the levelists who like kind of
It was the one who
her.
shaved her pubes.
Yes. So they're bonded in sisterhood here.
I mean, you know, you shave someone's pubes, you're friends for life.
You're friends for life. What are a couple pubes between friends?
Oh my
This
god.
is gross.
That's the
I
worst.
take back everything.
That's the worst.
I'm so sorry, everybody.
Yeah.
Moving forward. So now she escapes.
Now,
right?
yeah, she cuts her free. She
Yeah.
escapes. Everybody takes drinks, presumably.
To their
She jumps the fence. And oh no, the scariest part of the movie.
What's
she
the scariest
jumps,
part?
She grabs the barbed wire and it
And it cuts
her
into her
hand,
hand.
just like a little bit.
She gets these two cuts under her hand, and
it's like the worst thing in history.
It's
And,
terrible.
like, you just escaped a mass suicide.
yes.
And you're worried about two little scratches on your hand.
No, yeah.
And the reason I bring that up is because later on, in a couple minutes, she like shows the scars on
Yeah,
her hand.
'cause
Like
it's what,
the
like-
worst thing in the world.
Because then it cuts to like 2 years later.
2
Is that
years
right?
later.
2 years later, she's looking at her hand like longingly, and there's these two scar lines on the inside of them.
Yeah.
It's like a constant reminder of that terrible thing. Like, dude, I think you would remember
There's a
that
lot.
time you went to a cultist
There's a whole lot
compound
more.
and escaped a mass suicide. Like, come on.
Anyway, so she writes a book about her experience. It's called like
Yes.
Murders in the Sand or something like that.
Because she does bring the police back to the venue right afterwards, right?
Okay, I kind of like this though.
I do like it, too.
Apparently, he was sitting there with a grand piano.
Yes.
and he had a
On
white
a stage,
gown on, and, he was
and
just
all of
playing
the
music.
bodies of the dead people were laid out in front of him, all wrapped up. And the funniest bit is the guy who was decapitated had his head wrapped up separately next to his body.
Oh, it was so funny. It was very funny, but it also tonally just didn't fit the rest of the
No,
movie.
exactly.
It was kind of unfortunate. It's one of those great moments that was overshadowed by the mediocrity of the rest of the film.
Absolutely.
So anyway, yeah, the police show up, they arrest him, and then 2 years later, she has written this book. She's super famous now, and she's having
got interviews and talk show, all this stuff, you know?
Yep. So she's having a discussion with Moretti. Moretti calls her to her prison cell
Because she's been looking for an interview with him, right? And so, like, the one guy who's like his big fanboy is like, he's ready
Tony
for an
Hale.
interview. So she goes to the prison to meet up with him, right? To finally discuss things with him.
And I actually really dug this. I thought that this was a really cool idea.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is when you light a match
Mm-hmm.
and the time you're scratching the match, there isn't any spark.
Yeah.
But then the flame is beautiful, but then it just like goes away really quick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no satisfaction.
No, yeah.
So
No lead up to
when
this.
you have no build up and then you have a big explosion,
Yeah.
but then the it just fizzles away.
There's no payoff for that. Yeah.
It's nothing.
You're left feeling unfulfilled. And
exactly.
It's kind of how it feels in the scene.
It's a pretty nice.
No, that was good. I like that.
So he sits there and he tells her how this was all his plan all along. He wanted
everything
her
about
to
this.
escape. He wanted her to write a book and become this big author and thing.
Yeah.
Because all of the cult members didn't actually die.
Because that's what she keeps wondering, and that's why she wants to interview with him. Like, I need you to admit, because he has admitted to murdering the five people that were there, right? He owns up to that wholeheartedly, but he does not say that the other cultists were dead. And she's like, I saw them all drink the cyanide, because she saw all the cyanide behind the scenes, right? She's like, I know they died. Where are their bodies?
Yep.
And so then he confesses to her that actually none of them
are dead. And then we get this stupid ass montage where all of them are standing doing mediocre jobs.
All of the levelists are working at the gas station, working at a pizza place,
it all comes back.
Like Jesus from the beginning of the episode. But they're all living mundane lives, and he's basically they're out in the world, they're waiting, ready to spread the word of the levelists. Because now she has essentially done what he wanted and made them famous in a sense, right? Because he's like, it wasn't enough to just release an album that made him famous enough. He wanted his whole cult following, I guess, to make it out into the world, make a big name for itself.
He basically made missionaries, which, I was describing the spot to Emily, and she was like, well, why wouldn't he just send them out to begin with?
Yeah, honest.
I'm like, that's a really good point. But then, so she goes on this talk show afterwards, and this is how the movie ends. She's sitting and having a discussion with this woman, and it zooms in, and you see the pearls she has on her necklace.
Yeah, because they make jewelry out of them, right? It's on a necklace, and she sees that she is wearing one of them.
Pearls.
Which means, oh no,
she's pretty
the
big.
Levelists are out here. I'm on a Levelist show. They've taken over, I guess.
Yeah.
And then, roll credits.
And then, and she's just talking about how there's a growing majority of people who are starting to follow him.
Yeah, because the nation is a little divided on it.
Yep. And so Moretti's in the mainstream.
And then it ends, I guess. Moretti wins? ?
It was, man.
No idea.
You may notice that we didn't describe any exciting things.
Yeah, no, not a lot of excitement happens.
It was a very boring movie.
A lot of nothing happens in this movie, guys.
Which is so sad because, at its core, there are some good ideas here.
Right.
The problem is all of the good ideas are good ideas from other movies.
Exactly. They're good ideas that we've seen in other movies and were never expounded upon in more interesting or unique ways.
Yeah.
So it's just things we've seen before, and they did not offer anything fresh to that. It was just kind of sad. But shall we discuss our expectations for Opus here?
Let's expect it.
So I said that John Malkovich was going to be one of the best parts, and I think he did his best. I think he was having a lot of fun with the role. He did well within it. It's just the role itself was not incredible. He was just, Johning all over it. He was just Malkoviching all over that thing.
Oh, I'm gonna Malkovich. John Malkovich is insane. Yeah, but I did want more of him.
Yes.
I feel like my biggest problem with the movie was that last 5-minute monologue from him because it was good. It was very effective. That 5-minute monologue, but only amongst itself. I feel like if we had gotten more of that put throughout the movie, this manipulative guy instead of just this.
He was just kind of a nothing dude, yeah, and just does weird performances sometimes. Mind you, the other songs that they played for him, not quite as much a banger as Dina Simone was.
Yeah, exactly.
They got worse as they progressed.
Yeah, they did.
I said Io Adibri will be great, but hard to see in a horror setting. And again, I had no complaints about her or her acting. I think she did a really good job in this movie, but she just seems ill fit for scary movies. Her face is just too sweet and too kind. It's weird for me to see her within this world.
And I agree. I mean, that was my expectation too. She was charming,
yes,
but the script and the character just didn't do her any favor.
No, and again, her whole reporter bit
was all
nothing.
It was all pointless.
Yeah, exactly. I said probably pretty deliberate call-outs to other cultists. I mean, yeah, for sure. That ending bit was literally just drink the Kool-Aid, right? That's really a thinly veiled attempt at that.
Absolutely.
At Jonestown.
More culty than anything, it was adjacent to a cult movie.
Yeah.
It was adjacent to them. It just took little bits from all those movies.
I said it was going to be fine, just a fine movie. And I mean, yeah, I'd say yes.
Yeah.
It certainly wasn't great. So yeah.
Music will be forgettable. The only thing I remember is Dina Simone. But the only reason I remember that
Simone
is because it's so goddamn repetitive.
Yes.
And also we listened to it right before the podcast.
Exactly. You mentioned they really tried to make some kind of earworm kind of song that you couldn't get out of your head, and they just didn't do a very good job at that.
Absolutely.
No. And my final one just said probably very little horror factor, and I'd say definitely. At first the kills were mysterious and discreet, but then everything just kind of blows up and there's no intrigue at all. I feel like a foundational pillar in a horror movie is creating some fear of some unknown thing. Yeah. And this was not that. There was a little bit of it when he killed the one dude at the massage table. He takes away the girl with her peanut allergy, but then he just starts killing everyone in one room and it's just all thrown out the window.
It was, Man, I really wish. Oh, we didn't even mention there was the one scene where she gets in a fight behind a door.
Yes.
And they
again,
literally
showing us nothing.
It showed us the door.
You hear fight sounds coming from behind the door, and then somebody like gets hit real hard, and then it's silence, and then one person walks out. It's like, okay, we just have to assume what fight happened within there.
Yeah.
Show it to us. Come on.
Seriously. And then my final one was crazy weird kills. But yeah, we just talked about it. They were just off camera.
No, exactly.
Nothing even happened.
There could have been some cool ones. Honestly, like the most brutal again was that like girl who was poisoned and was swelling from the inside out. That was pretty terrifying.
That was gross, but it was just practical. Yeah.
So our surprises on this one, for me, I said there were some good moments with the kills, but they're pretty much entirely off screen. Like basically what we were just saying, right? Like that girl with her swollen tongue making it so she can't breathe. The dude who got decapitated, all great. But like the one guy getting beheaded was gnarly, but we didn't really get to see much of it at all, truly.
Yeah.
John Malkovich's costumes rocked.
Oh, they were great.
just funny.
So
everything he wore was just like, wow, that's just a crazy thing that a cult leader would wear.
He gets 2 stars on his own.
On his own, John Malkovich gets the stars for sure. They shaved that one girl. That was crazy. That was a pretty surprising thing for me. The allergic reaction kill was very brutal, and that was the one they kept showing to me.
Because it was where all the money went.
Yeah, it must be, because it was definitely like this practical choking on tongue. I don't know why. That bothered me a lot. It was just like hard to see this girl choking and struggling and nobody helping her.
To me, it was the kind of practical effect that looked too fake.
Oh, yeah?
I couldn't take it seriously.
Really?
I don't know. I just as looking at it, I was just like, eh.
No, it did it for me.
I'm glad it worked for you.
I was spooked by it for sure.
I just didn't work for me.
And then my final one was just John Malkovich sing. John Malkovich sing?
John Malkovich sing.
But did he truly? Because Derek, can you tell me if this man was truly un-auto-tuned at all?
You can listen to any part of any of the songs and you hear the autotune. You can hear the artifacting.
Absolutely.
It is so obvious.
Absolutely. So what are your surprises?
Only 3 songs.
Yeah.
I'm so shocked they only put 3 songs in this.
Truly.
They could have put more. That all the kills were hidden from us. And then it was like, this is like a distant relative to Menu Summer.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Distant relative to Menu Summer.
That's all I got.
So I guess we're at our verdict time.
Yeah.
Here we go. I'm going to go with one I haven't said in a long time, but that
was horrible. That's what I did too.
I can kind of see why A24 was not boasting too much about this one. Like, they've got some great people in the cast, but it felt pretty directionless and did not have any great ideas beyond that standard synopsis of Ryder goes to this old rock star or this old pop star's retreat. What happens there? It didn't offer very much that was creative nor new to this, star turned cultist story. And I kept waiting for anything more to happen. It just never lived up to truly anything going on, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So overall, it was a bit of a letdown for me. Props to John and AO, but I'm probably not going to give Alfred Moretti's album another listen.
Oof. AO Edinbury was a treasure. Malkovich is just being insane in the best way. The cult is cool but unoriginal. The story is meh. The writing is boring. Ultimately, it was just a disappointing experience with nothing new and really nothing memorable. Go watch The Menu or Midsummer again instead. It will be much more worth your time.
Yeah. Count trivia.
You got the
Count.
You got the
trivia.
pants. You got
Drinking blood
the
is what I
beard.
love. I
You
fly
got
away
the
just like a
pants.
dove. I
Beard.
am Count
Trivia.
Trivia.
Pretty good.
It is me. What's going on, fellas? I'm like a cool
You've
star.
been here in a few weeks.
I took a bit of a hiatus so that I could bring you all of this wonderful trivia.
You ate us?
Yes, I was high and then I ate you. Hi, ate us. Oh, you're so funny. Take your trivia. I'm gonna go away for another 30 years
Yum, 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 yum,
and
yum,
work
yum.
on an album. Don't eat the trivia,
Yum, 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 yum,
Derek. Don't eat
But
the
there's
trivia.
so much of it. Yum, 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 yum.
So yeah, fun fact: I actually could not find any trivia to be seen for this movie. So instead, I had my good friend Derek, who had done a little more research into the movie.
Yeah, I just, that's funny.
Yeah, he did a bit more research into it and found some things that were just a little interesting. Not necessarily trivia, but like best we could do, right? So at the very beginning, before even the title opening sequence that looks like Pearl, they have the sequence of like the world listening to Moretti's new song, right? Dina Simone.
Yeah.
And there are a couple of like cameos within that sequence of people, but they're like just slightly off. While I was watching, I'm like, I think that's a celebrity. I think that's somebody I recognize.
Yeah, but it was.
So there were some people that were notable, like Lil Nas X, he was up in there. Lenny Kravitz was one of the listeners, as well as there's a decent segment with Bill Burr, kind of doing like a reporting bit on TV about
but
the character of Moretti.
It felt very much like he got like a piece of paper he was just supposed to read.
Yeah.
And he literally is like holding the piece of paper in front of him.
Did very little with it.
It was so sad.
But yeah, so there was also in the puppet sequence, that puppet show, the voice of Billy, the puppet, was Rosario Dawson, which again, like, they're getting some people up in this cast that like this should have been better than it was, right?
Absolutely.
Another bit that was really interesting is that the entire film was filmed in New Mexico, which you might know is really close to Utah, like right next to it even. But they made a point to say that it was set inside of Utah.
It's ridiculous. Why?
No. And Derek actually made a good point that is like, it's probably because they knew it was going to premiere at Sundance Film Festival, which is in Park City, Utah.
Yeah, so they wanted to like give a little earworm of Utah.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to Green River, Utah.
Yeah, exactly. Which is just, I mean, I've been there too. Whenever a film's like, oh yeah, blah, 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 Utah, I'm like, that's me. I live there. I know that place.
Mormonism!
I mean, it's not much trivia, but John Malkovich provided his own vocals.
Yep.
And they were
Auto-tuned.
tuned to hell. And also, Derek just mentioned this and I thought it was funny. Nile Rodgers produced the Halo 2 soundtrack. Did you guys know that?
He did. He
That
worked
was
with
pretty
Marty
crazy.
O'Donnell on the Halo 2 soundtrack.
Wild.
blew my
Nile
mind.
Rodgers, like, so I salute you, sir, and all the wonders you've done for the music
As
industry.
he's driving away in his mongoose.
But guys, that is Opus. We did it. We finished the movie.
You get an Opus, and you get an Opus.
You get an Opus.
I'm only doing
Everybody
that
gets
because
an
it
Opus.
sounded like Oprah.
Oh, I get it. But yeah, thanks for joining us here on this one. It was a time for sure. I don't regret watching the movie necessarily.
No.
But I'm not going to go tell everybody about it.
Because it was just boring.
Yeah, I just kind of was bored by it.
It was a whole lot of nothing.
It was a letdown, and I know you were hoping it was going to be a lot better.
I mean, I kind of figured, though.
Yeah.
It's,
But so, Derek, what do we have coming up next week?
Well, I have been held at gunpoint by my
Yes.
father-in-law, Steve.
A literal
And he
real
said,
gun.
Do
No,
I have
that's
to
not
go
true.
public? And I said, what does that mean? And I did not actually have this conversation with him. It was all through Emily.
It's all made up.
So, we're going to be watching The Devil's Reign from 1975 with a 17%.
Yeah, so The Devil's Reign is a movie with a synopsis as follows. A murdered family's patriarch seeks revenge upon an Arizona coven that captures souls and worships Satan.
So in.
I
We
know-
haven't watched a movie from the 70s in a while.
No, and honestly, the effects in this one look crazy. Also, within this movie, there are some notable names like William Shatner and what's his name from Greece? Why can't I remember his name? John Travolta. So there are some interesting characters up in the mix of this movie that I'm so curious to see.
Yeah, man.
Some wild-looking effects, as you would expect from a horror movie from the 70s. Like, I am actually really looking
so
forward to this one. This one, thank you to Emily's father. This is a wonderful addition to our podcast here, right up our alley. I am looking forward to it.
Oh, yeah, me too.
So, like, right off the bat, I'm excited to see that one here. Derek, should we send them off with a bit of our religious word of our God, Garfield? Our cult field. Welcome to Cult Field. We are here to tell you the word about Garfield. No, we're here to give you, before we send you on your way, we have to give you our Garfield horoscope of this week. And this week we've got a little bit of a spring-themed one here. Garfield is looking a little bit sad. He says spring is not really his favorite season. It marks the start of pollen season, and that really messes with his sinuses. But that's not the biggest reason why he doesn't care for it. It's John. John comes up dressed like a flower,
That's incredible.
and he says, "Hello, Mr. Springtime."
That's the best John impression you've ever said.
And he just starts dancing. And I guess Garfield hates it. So not only does he not like having the allergies from all the pollen in the air, he hates the fact that for some reason John goes crazy for spring. So, Derek, who do you want to be?
Well, I think I want to be John.
I mean, you feel like you gotta be John in this situation, I guess.
John.
So I guess I'll be Garfield.
Yeah.
So tell me about John loving spring.
If you love something and you find joy in that thing, like John finds in springtime,
Yes.
let the world
This fills
know.
his hole,
If it is his whole soul. Make sure that you don your best outfit, even if it's a giant flower, and you go out there and you praise that thing. You praise the sun, so to speak.
Oh, yeah. Good Dark Souls reference.
Maybe.
Me being Garfield in here, I'm actually going to go against what Mr. The Field is doing in this one and say, listen, it might not be your thing. If you're going to sit here and judge John for being in his flower costume, loving
Judge
spring, John is having a wonderful time.
He is.
He is enjoying himself. He is expressing himself without any remorse, without any
is.
shame. And I think you got to let him do his thing. Let John be the wonderful flower. Let him love his season. If you love fall or summer, whatever, let him have his spring. It's not hurting anybody. Him dressing up as a flower and prancing and making a fool of himself is not hurting you, Garfield. So just like, if you know anybody in that like that in your life, and you want, like, your first thought is to judge them, maybe just think, hey man, it's making them happy. Let them do their thing.
Let them do their thing.
And likewise, go do your thing. If you think there's something cringy that you're afraid to go do, you're afraid to go out into the world in your Garfield costume, and celebrate the wonderful world of lasagna, go do it.
Go do it.
Go chase your bliss.
Be yourself.
Do that thing.
Be yourself.
But so, as always,
Know your
thank you.
truth.
Thank you so much for joining us here on That Was Horrible. It has been a wonderful time having you join us here. If you like what we do, feel free to follow us on all of our socials.
Yeah.
We're on everywhere. We're on Instagram at _was_horrible, Twitter at TWH Podcast, Facebook at That Was Horrible Podcast, YouTube at That Was Horrible, and still on TikTok at That Wash Horrible.
Yeah, and go check out the Whole Society also on YouTube.
Yeah,
and
just
TikTok.
look up the wholesociety.org.net.gov, and you'll find us there.
.cu.
Thanks for joining us, guys. As always, Garfield be with you.
Stay
spooky.
Goodbye.